going to go beyond the radio.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Obviously, you caught us mid-sentence. We were all just kind of, shooting the proverbial stuff here. So thanks for joining us. Facebook Live at 7 p.m. And I'm joined by Sully and Jesse. We're going to get the show started. Obviously, we start off with our video montage that everybody seems to enjoy.
Get hype.
All right, so here we go, everybody.
Boner.
Jordan. Oh, a spectacular move by Michael Jordan. Drives one out to deep left field. This one's got a chance to get out of here. Gone! Three-run Jimmy Jack first big league home run for Mike Trout.
Pass is intercepted at the goal line by Malcolm Butler.
And an 81-point game, 55 in the second half. Ladies and gentlemen, you have witnessed the second greatest scoring performance in NBA history.
Never old. Never gets old.
So I will say this. Looking back on it, before we get in, man, Mike Trout was a little small in his rookie season.
He got a little big, huh?
He got a little big. My man got a little big in 8 years, bro.
So I am Wayne G., one of the hosts here. I'm joined, as always, by Sully and Jesse. What's going on, guys?
Hello, friends.
Hey, how we doing? How we doing, folks?
Hey, it is our usual view.
There we go.
So, obviously, we've got a big show tonight. We've got another interview. Obviously, we had Coach Fields on last week. Everybody seemed to really like that. I think more people are excited about this one because we have a Hollywood star on who has been in some sports movies, particularly basketball movies, which I love, two of the best basketball movies of all time. We're definitely going to ask him about that. That is Cylk Cozart, and you'll see him. He's going to have all kinds of answers. We got 2 pages of questions for him. Before we get into the whole show, though, obviously we want to remind everybody, if you're watching us right now, Facebook Live, Mondays and Wednesdays, 7 p.m. We're also we are rebroadcast the following day on the RTF Sports Network at 1 p.m., so that's Tuesdays and Thursdays. If you miss any part of the show, look, I already scrolled, so this is always the worst part. If you miss any part of the show, we are on iTunes, Spotify, and Stitcher under Infinity Sports. So definitely listen to that, because a lot of these shows, when we have interviews, obviously the guys are really interesting. We love hearing what they have to say, and we don't really want to cut the show short. So you want to hear the whole thing. So definitely go onto those platforms and check it out. Obviously, you can interact with us. We are an interactive show. You can visit us at Infinity Sports Podcast on Facebook, at Infinity Sports Podcast on Instagram, and at Sports Infinity 5 on Twitter. We love ideas. We love your feedback. If there's anything we could be doing better, we certainly want to know about it. So definitely let us know. All right, guys, obviously we don't want to waste a whole lot of time today. We do have just a couple of things to talk about in the news. All right, so, big news, right, is the NBA playoffs just started. That's one of the big things. It's on right now. I mean, it's been going on all day. So pretty cool to see midday NBA basketball. I don't know what you guys think.
Yeah, being able to wake up, no matter which coast you're on, and being able to see basketball, also hockey, being able to see both those sports all throughout the day, throughout the week has been amazing.
Yeah, I mean, today's just been insane. I mean, that Nuggets-Utah Jazz game was just bonkers. I mean, Jamal Murray and Donovan Mitchell went bananas, and I mean, it's what the NBA dreamed of, honestly, for their first NBA game. I think all of us were pretty much glued to that. Toronto put a mollywhopping on the Nets, like I think everyone expected them to. That should be an easy series, but yeah, I mean, this whole day is just chock full of games, and it's just such a good day.
I'm ready to eat all the crow, because I was talking crap about how good the gameplay would be in the NBA, thinking that players would be rusty. And oh my Lord, you brought it up, Sully, but we just saw Donovan Mitchell drop 57, 7, and 9 in his first game in the playoffs. That is the third highest scoring playoff performance of all time, behind MJ and Wayne's boy Wilt.
No, actually, Elgin Baylor was in the picture that you sent.
Yeah. Touche. Yeah.
But to be fair, I mean that's a two-sided coin because I mean nobody's playing defense right now. I assume the deeper we get, the better it'll get. But I mean nobody plays defense for Utah and Denver anyway, so we're not missing much there.
Yeah, Utah doesn't have like a 2-time defending player of the year.
Yeah, but it's still, I mean, there's still the Western Conference. They're still a running gun team. I mean, I get they've got Rudy Gobert, but I mean, let's be real. They're not one of the better efficiency teams in the league in defense, I believe. So.
Well, and I'm not chalking it up to bad defense either because they're playing in the arena without the fans, which helps with the depth perception. And if you ever watch these guys, like professional players, like I've played against some NBA guys in like a YMCA gym or Boys and Girls Club gym, and they don't miss a single shot. Doesn't matter how tight you guard them, they make everything nothing but net. The ball doesn't even touch the rim. And it's because they don't have the fans waving their hands and everything behind the backboard. So you kind of knew coming into these games it was just going to be like playing an open run gym. So you can play the best defense in the world, and guys are just going to be knocking down shots.
Yeah, guys are just getting hot, and, I mean, it's fun to watch. I'll tell you that. I'm not mad whatsoever. Excuse me, my apologies. I'm not mad whatsoever. I love what's happening, and I love seeing it. So, but there was, a little 3-minute stretch there, or at the end of the half there, the announcer, I don't know if you guys were watching, he even says it. So it's like back and forth, and the announcer goes, man, this looks like LA Fitness at 3 p.m. right now. Because they were like 3 turnovers, missing layups, and it was just really funny to watch.
You guys think we'll see a better performance, at least in terms of scoring, throughout the rest of the playoffs? Will we see more than 57 dropped?
Oh.
I think so. I think Dame will try. I think Dame will have to get 60 or for the Trailblazers, I think, in one of these games.
Be interesting. I'm a bet no. I'm going to say 57 is going to be the high for the playoffs.
I think that's the safer bet. I would just like to see it. I think it'll be really good. And then tonight's series, Clips Mavs. I mean, that's just going to be – I can't wait for that game. It's going to be so
I predict a triple-double for Luka Doncic.
Shocker.
Outside of basketball, we got some football news. The schedule was released for week 1. We got the SEC. Supposedly they're going to play, and they got, Auburn, Kentucky. We've got Alabama, Missouri. And I guess if you're a big fan of college football, I'm not going to lie, I'm not a huge fan, but it's coming back. You're going to have some college football games.
Florida, Ole Miss.
I was going to say, if you're going to be a fan of any college football, you're going to be a fan of the SEC. That is the NFL factory right there. There's some other big conferences that haven't called it quits yet. So between the SEC and those other 2 conferences, I'd love to see a Power 3. I know I've seen Sully talking about it on Facebook and Twitter as well. He'd love to see that Power 3, see a big old conference and maybe a big old championship from those guys.
Oh, for sure. I mean, I think it'd be great. Obviously, Florida Ole Miss is another game for week 1. We can't knock that one. But also, the big news coming out of the Big Ten is Justin Fields getting this petition together for the Big Ten to reinstate football. It's already got, this morning it had over 250,000 signatures. I'm sure it's up over that now. There's a ton of parents voicing their disgust for the closure and their kids' dreams being taken away and such. If separate schools want to opt out, I think they should be able to, but, I think they should just allow them to play ball and kind of run the table and see how it happens, but it doesn't look like that's going to happen for the Big Ten, but I'm excited the SEC is going to play ball.
And then, of course, we've got the hockey playoffs. I know, Sully, you mentioned before we even came on, the Lightning won again today.
Yes, we did, baby. Up 3-1 on the Columbus Blue Jackets. They fucking suck. I'm sorry, my language. They took us out last year when we were, the best team in hockey, so it stings. So I want to get this win. And it's been really good. The playoffs have been nuts. Vancouver's playing out of their mind. Bo Horvat had one of the sickest goals I've seen in a long time. That team's playing incredibly well. Obviously Vegas is being Vegas. Colorado they look scary. I can't wait to see those. If those 2 teams get together, Vegas, Colorado, that's going to be a hell of a series. Yes, Boston, got to win. I'm a little more down on Boston now. No Tuukka Rask is going to be rough for them, I think.
No pasta either.
Yeah, but they're still a great team, obviously. That team's still got winners everywhere all over the ice. But, hockey's just – again, I'll say it before and I've said it again. Nothing's more exciting than playoff hockey.
Agreed.
All right. Well, I don't have a ton of stuff because I really want to jump
real quickly, the Cardinals are finally playing baseball.
Hey!
Hey! It's only, August 17th? They haven't played since September 29th. We're finally playing ball, folks.
They'll have a 10-game season.
Yeah.
Oh, we lost Cylk for a second. So we'll buy a little bit of time when Cylk gets back in here. And then I have a clip. So we talked about it at the beginning of the show. Cylk Cozart, actor. He was in Blue Chips, 3 to Tango, White Men Can't Jump.
Which is,
Ricochet.
of course, the best sports movie of all time. So,
well, I have White Man Can't Jump as tied for the best basketball movie with Hoosiers. I think the two of those. I mean, Blue Chips not quite there, but Blue Chips is a step below. But
I agree. I think it's a step below. But I mean, it was drafted in our sports movies, so it's in the top 30. We all agree that, and I agree. It's such a good movie, so underrated too. I mean, people just need to watch it.
All right. So, like I said, before we get into it, like I said, we got Cylk backstage. We're going to bring him on. I want to play a little bit of a clip. This is mine and Dan's favorite scene from White Men Can't Jump, or our favorite line, and we had to have it played.
No, all ball. No foul. You got my hand. No. Your hand is part of the ball, man. You got my wrist. The wrist is a part of the hand. Yeah, knee bones connect to the dick bone. Give me the ball, man. Look, you fouled the shit out of Robert, man. Hell yeah. What you know? You didn't even see the play. Yo, baby, you couldn't carry my jockstrap in a suitcase. What the hell is this? Thought this was Watts, baby. Thought you had some ball players out here. This ain't jack shit.
You know, I get real tired of looking at your face. You know that? I guess your mother must have threw you out of the house at an early age.
Oh, yeah, he's talking about your mama. You talking about my mother? No. See, nobody talks about my mother. You don't ever talk about my motherfucking mama, all right? Me and any guy out here take you.
Well, then how much you want to roll?
Oh, my God. Oh, what is this? Oh, my God. Look at this. It's $1,000.
So, Cylk, thank you for joining us.
That brings back memories, boy. I'll tell you.
Oh, man.
How y'all doing?
Great.
Doing well. How are
Love
you?
having you on.
Good.
Thank you.
Good. Thanks for having me on the show. I'm a big fan.
Oh, thank you.
Thanks for being on.
So we had a bunch of questions, like I said, and we'll go in at any point if you want to, like I said, add anything, and we're going to give you a ton of time at the end as well to talk about, because I know you've got the really great charity for ending hunger is fantastic, and I definitely want you to spend as much time as you want on that. You've got the movie coming out. You directed this movie. We're going to ask you about directing a little bit in our questions. So we're very excited to talk about any projects you want, but if it's cool with you, we kind of want to start off with like early life, getting into acting, and just kind of snowball into the roles.
Absolutely.
So my first question, obviously, is one. So I say obviously, that's probably not the right word, but basically, you're 50% African American, right? 50% Native American.
Yes.
You grew up in Tennessee, which is predominantly white. I mean, even now it's 75%. It must have been more back in the 70s. Did you have any issues with race? Was that something that ever came up, or was it something that was always kind of left alone?
When I came through. In the 70s, basically, I was in high school in Knoxville, Tennessee. It wasn't a lot of racial tension, but in spots. So, I mean, the KKK burned a cross in my yard when I was 12. And because I danced at a dance with a white girl, but that was the only girls there were white. I'm like, so, a 12-year-old kid, you don't know why what a burning cross is, and they hung my German Shepherd. So that's how it kind of started out. So that's why basketball became like my my best friend, you might say. Basketball and football, but basketball kind of branched out. But yeah, I had some, but that's maybe 35%. The rest, absolutely wonderful, being here especially Knoxville,
Right.
Wow. I mean, that's honestly shocking. I mean, it's obviously we're a little naive to the situation. We don't experience anything like that, but man, that's incredible. I had no idea. Even, you think the 70s. Yeah. And you think the 70s, that wasn't that long ago. So it's just kind of mind blowing that people were acting like that.
Right.
Now, obviously, one of the biggest stories of this year was the Washington football team finally changed their name. As I'm sure a proud Native American, I'm sure you're super stoked to see it happen. What are some of your thoughts about that? And what do you think, why it took so long to change it? And I'm sure you're thrilled to see it change finally.
Well, I'm happy of the change because it doesn't mean the same thing as it did. Things change. And if you don't change as they change, that's when I think problems happen. I'm happy that they changed it because in Native America, I mean, which most Native Americans are like to be called First Nations. But most Native Americans, we all know what we're talking about when we say Native American. It's like, you say black, do you say, African American? Those things, I'm like, which one? What do you say? I mean, why do you say it?
Of course.
I don't know. I'm like, why do you say it? I don't, but I think when you stop talking about the differences and start focusing on the similarities, I think all that race stuff will kind of dissipate, I really
preach that love. Exactly.
I can't help it because every day, you have to deal with it, whether you're white or black. You have to deal with it. And I think it's how we're raised. And it goes back to, how you're raised. I think where you're from and what you're exposed to creates that personality as an adult. And, we don't know if we're going to be born into a family of educators or a family of alcoholics or drug addicts.
Yeah.
And we're judged on the choices we make leading up the first 18 years of our life. So it's tough. And that's why sports just gave me such a platform and a reason to be like, oh, I can do this, or I can do that, and it taught me teamwork. But anyway, I got off the main question, but I just I believe that.
So please, tangent as often as you would like to. We'd love you to be on as often as you'd like. We're so honored to have you on. So I just want to say, I appreciate it first and foremost. And it's almost like you knew the question that I was going to be asking, because you dovetailed perfectly by bringing up the first 18 years and then sports. So I wanted to talk specifically about your high school sports. You were an All-American both in basketball and football, and then you got to play, collegiately, as well. What kind of game and playing style would you say that you had, both in football and basketball? What kind of player were you?
Well, I think I was more of I'm not comparing myself to this NBA player, but we have the same style of Damian Lillard.
That boy's hot right now.
He attacks, and he attacks. He knows when to let up, when to shoot, when not to. They let him go. He has a great, he sees the whole floor. And, Pete Maravich used to say, you got to see the play before the play. So a lot of these guys I'll throw you the ball because you're in a better position to give Wayne the ball, so it's like, that's what made Larry Bird so well. But so basketball was more like that, and maybe a little more street style, more so, until I got to King College to a great coach. But football, I was a natural quarterback, but again, we're dealing with the 70s, and the football coach at the time said, colored boys can't play quarterback. You ain't got the brains. He actually told me that. He told me that. Man. As an eighth grader going into a freshman year, I couldn't wait because I could throw and I could run and I could it was a natural position. So they said, no, you got to, running back or wide receiver or defensive back. So I did those and I enjoyed it, but I kept wanting to play quarterback, but they already had who they wanted to play quarterback, and that's just the way it was. And I was really frustrated my whole football time in Carnes, Tennessee. Great guys, but it was just, if you're trapped, let's say if you're a shooter and you got to play point guard, and in the 70s you either were a point guard or you were a shooting guard or you're a rebounder, or Bernard King was recruited as a rebounder. In the first game, he scored like 45 points, and they went, okay, Bernard, just whenever you want to. You just whenever you got the green light,
He earned it.
Yeah, he did. But if you're fortunate enough to play for coaches, well, see, I think you recruit athletes and you make them ball players. I don't think you're automatically a ball player. I think you learn that, and great coaches teach you how to be a ball player, and you got certain qualities. But when that coach told me that black people will never play quarterback, the following year I'm at the camp, an all sports camp at University of Tennessee, and guess who's playing ping pong, and he's beating everybody, and looks like he's my size, and I'm like 12 or 13 years old at the time, and it was Conrad Holloway, and he was a freshman at UT, and and they said if freshmen could play varsity, he would be our starting quarterback. I was like, the black guy? And Mr. Gus Manning was there at UT, and he had his arm around me. He said, boy, well, yeah, what do you mean? I told him about my coach, what he said. And he says, well, I think it's time to get a new coach, you know. But you know, you learn, you know, with that. And then now today, Conrad and I are good friends, and he's one of the athletic directors at UT right now. So you never know where something's going to lead you. But yeah, that kind of happened. A lot of things. I used to have to stay in the locker room in high school after the games because I was threatened by a lot of older guys that didn't want me there, didn't want me on the team, or didn't want anything to do with me. They would threaten me. And so the assistant coach would lock me in there, and about 3 or 4 in the morning, I would, you know, they would leave, wait till they left, and then I would walk home. And that happened every year, freshman, sophomore, junior, and senior.
That's despicable.
So, yeah, you know, but those things make you, you know, if you can go through that, you know, by the time you get to Hollywood, that's like, what? Who cares about a director, a producer, casting director? So what? I've been through Tennessee, KKK, you know, doesn't bother me.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I think a similar story to that is I know we watched the Last Dance with Michael Jordan, and they talked about in the Olympics playing as Tony Kukoc, and they said, you know, that these guys destroyed Tony Kukoc, and the other coach was saying, "You kidding? This guy's got guys with machine guns outside of his house. He's not afraid of Michael Jordan."
Yes, Europe is a little different than us when it comes to that.
So my next question is kind of getting into now college is over, right? You get a tryout with the Denver Nuggets, right? The summer league, and you have a foot injury. And so you kind of miss out on that. And, you know, you kind of go into modeling, right, which kind of leads to acting. But I'm curious, you know, why not kind of like rehab and try again for basketball? What made you say, you know what, I'm just going to –
Yeah, I was. That was the plan, you know. Okay. But you know what they say, you make plans and then God goes,
Every time.
That was great.
So you know, I was gonna, you know, I started my rehab. I went to Miami. A friend of mine said, "Come stay with me, hang out. You know, we'll run on the beach when the cast comes off," because that was before they had orthoscopic surgery. You know, so and instead of a break, it was a fracture. And so, as you know, it takes a long time for a fracture to heal. They said you should have just snapped it in two. It would have healed quicker, but it never healed. And by that time, Dallas, I think, started a new expansion team, and I was going to get a tryout with them. But then the modeling offers started coming in Miami, and the cast came off, and I started doing that. And, you know, it just wasn't in the cards, I guess, you know. And I was, you know, playing against guys that were really, really just great players that would never get a shot, you know, because that was when they had 10 or 12 rounds in the draft. Now, second round is a tryout, basically.
Right out of the lottery is.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, if you don't play on national TV, forget about it. Forget about going to the NBA unless you're scoring 50 points a game and ESPN hears about you or somebody, and you know you're a phenom. But you know, it's hard. I graduated at King College, and it's, you know, it's a great academic school, and now they're really good basketball team, and it's just almost as well as their you know, as their professors. The professors are like the ball players now. They're just almost equally good there. So yeah, so it was tough. It was tough. I had a plan. I was gonna play professional basketball. I wrote this down as a 12-year-old, by the way. I think I spelled professional with two F's, you know, professional. And I said, after I get out of pro basketball, I'm going to go right into acting. And I'm going to act for 10 years, and then I'm going to become a director. And then I'm going to buy a team, a basketball team. That was my 12-year-old. I think I had to have the letter to myself, I think it was.
Yeah.
So, but it didn't quite end up that way. I tell people now, I said, I act like a basketball player now.
You're 2/3 of the way there. Exactly. I mean, you're actor, director. Now you got to do is buy that team, man.
Got to make some chips to buy those things.
Teams are expensive.
Yeah.
Well, the acting and modeling, clearly worked out, and we're obviously very thankful for that. So, but you moved to NYC and you start studying at the Sundance Institute under Robert Redford.
Well, he was in Utah.
Oh, was he
in Utah? But I was in New York. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Now, were there any other famous actors, actresses in your class with you there at that time, or?
Oh yeah, you got DB Sweeney. We were in the same.
That's crazy. We're talking to him right now. We're trying to get him on right now. Actually,
you tell him, as Cylk said, he better get his butt on there. Right.
That's awesome. We're a big fan of 8 Men Out. Yeah. So.
Oh my God! What a terrific actor he is, and what a great guy! What a down to earth and a good friend. He's very loyal and he treats everybody nice. I learned a lot with DB. We did a thing at Sundance Film Lab at Robert Redford's place, and that's where we met. And then the next thing you know, we're making Heaven is a Playground, which was written for Albert King, Bernard King's brother. And but Rick Tellender, he was a Sports Illustrated writer, great writer, and Randall Freed directed the movie. So, but that's where DB and I met. And oh my God, Peter Weller. I met a lot of actors that were already great actors that I didn't know who they were because I was just coming up. In fact, Denzel Washington is the one that told me about White Man Can't Jump. It was written for him.
Yeah, we're just about it. Me and Rain were talking about that before you came on.
It's crazy, and I mean, he was preparing to play Malcolm X when Ron Shelton, who was the greatest sports writer director in sports film history, Bull Durham was probably the best. I think it's my opinion is the best sports movie in the world, especially baseball, because you could smell that long walk when you got your walking papers. You could smell the locker room. It was just such a great depiction of that league before you go to the big boys and how he depicted that. But anyway, learned a lot, Ron Shelton. But that was. Just the fact that I was able to play at a certain level and then ended up playing in movies, being able to do that was actually a dream come true. Actually, I witnessed it in real time playing out.
That's
and
awesome.
It's so surreal, and that's why I met a lot of people. Like when I played in the ABA briefly, for a team in LA that they purchased, and it was just so much fun. I would have played for free, but, and they thought I was a lot of the guys that were on the team. They thought they'd played against me somewhere years ago. And then, but movies were out. So I didn't tell them I was an actor, and they were confused. So I'm in the layup line. I'm in the layup line, right? I'm shooting layups and I'm throwing the ball off the glass and dunking it and shooting threes and winning shooting contests. And they think I'm just a ball player from Tennessee. And then, of course, White Man Can't Jump comes on, like the marathon or something it does every year. And I go to practice the next day. And they were like, no way. You're the same guy. Yeah. So anyway, that was kind of a fun thing. To me, that's the ultimate when an NBA player or a pro player says, hey man, I got this guy on my team, or let's play some 2-on-2, or you know how it is. That's just a.
So wait, can you still dunk?
Not right now. About 4 years ago was my last time I threw it up and put it down.
I mean, you're don't get mad at me now. You are in your 60s, right?
I don't know how old I am. I don't remember.
Oh, okay. I'm okay with that. But I mean, even still, that's impressive.
Yeah.
If you can dunk in your late 50s, that's hella impressive.
I'll put it to you this way: I was 50 when I played when I signed with the ABA team.
Oh wow!
The Hollywood Fame. So I didn't play a whole season, but just the fact that I got to play. It never leaves you. All guys dream about playing a pro sport of something, or even skateboarding. It doesn't matter. And I'll play
racquetball. I don't care.
Absolutely. I always say I would play on an NBA team. I'll be the last guy just to dress out on the just to be in the warm-up line. Master P lives.
Now, so, with your passion for basketball and with you starting to get into some roles, did you feel like maybe you were getting pigeonholed into those athletic roles, almost like a guy like Leon who was in Cool Runnings, he was in Above the Rim? Did you feel like you were getting pigeonholed strictly into athletic roles?
I didn't, but people told me I would be, and I thought, wait a minute. These are people that the people that were telling me that were people that couldn't get the roles that I got. So I'm
Jealousy.
thinking, yeah. And then I thought, if you're good, you're good.
So what's it matter?
Yeah, and that was my mentality. But then you're dealing with Hollywood and the phony and fakeness of it, and you deal with agents. They're like shoes. Agents are like shoes. You put them on. If they fit, great. As long as they fit, it's great. But the moment they wear out, you got to go to another one. You got to get another one. Unless you find that great one that stays with you. But not many do that. So I had to learn. I had to learn hard. Because I'll tell you one thing, as far as the racism thing in Hollywood, it exists and it existed. But let's say an actor like me going into audition for White Men Can't Jump or Blue Chips or Eraser or any of the movies that I've done, there were probably 20 to 30 black actors for that one role. Okay. Now, for the white roles, there were 30 roles, but for different movies. So and that was the hard thing, is because you're competing with and all these guys, and you end up being friends with everybody, and you're like, hey, if I don't get it, I hope you get it. And they go, yeah, if I don't get it, I hope you get it. And y'all, you're lying. It was real hard because you didn't get the amount of auditions. There wasn't enough roles.
It sounds friendly, but also dog eat dog.
But yeah, tell me. Yes, it was.
So we get into I've always considered White Men Can't Jump to be the best basketball movie of all time. I know people say Hoosiers, but I think that White Men Can't Jump is right there. Blue Chips, we were just talking about this before the show, is just a tier below those movies. And I'm curious yourself as an actor. You watch movies. You've got to be a fan of movies. You mentioned Bull Durham being the best sports movie of all time in your opinion, but I'm curious, what's your favorite sports movie that you can watch from start to finish 100 times in a row, just not get sick of it?
You're gonna laugh. I'll give you a hint. I'll give you two hints. It's a baseball movie, and Dennis Quaid is in it.
The Rookie? Yeah.
The Rookie?
I know.
That's fantastic. Go Braves, baby.
I literally cry at the same time, at the same place. Like when he's on the phone with his wife and he says, honey, is that jacket still ready? And I just lose it. And then when he brings his kids to the tryout, I got the kid with the diapers, and he's like, hold on, I'll be right there. Throwing, against the how he threw the ball and being at that age. I always said, man, I wish I could be that character, but in basketball and in my 40s, so I could still shoot. Let's say they had a new rule saying a new designated shooter in the NBA. For those that can't shoot foul shots. You hear the buzzer, and there I come off the bench. Yeah, all right. No pressure.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I think the NBA version of that movie would be some guy who can barely touch the backboard. Then when he turns 41, has a 40-inch vertical.
Yeah, that would work. Hey, I was really happy about the Michael and the film that the documentary they did. I thought they really, did a pretty detailed version of that. It ended up being more Michael's. Yeah. And he's an incredible guy, incredible human being. I wouldn't want to be him, though. I was with him one time. We had dinner, and people kept coming up to us. Obviously they recognized him, and a few people might have said, "Oh yeah, the actor guy." And then one guy comes up to us. He's in a suit, and he's obvious. He was obviously a little intoxicated, and he goes, "Oh my God!" We're in Toronto, right? He goes, "Oh my God, Michael fucking Jordan! Oh my God!" And then Mike looks at me like, "Okay, here we go again." So the guy goes, "Mike, I just want to know what would it be. I just want to know what it's like to be Michael for one day, just one day." And then Michael looks at him without even missing a beat, and he goes, "Well, that ain't fair." And the guy goes, "What do you mean?" And he goes, "Try being Michael Jordan for more than one day, like a year, 6 months. Get the downside of being Michael Jordan. Then you can say what it's like to be Michael Jordan." And I was like, damn, that was deep. And now you realize that's true. That's not fair. You're only seeing me when I'm up. What about when I'm down? I just lost my father. I don't know if I'm going to play the game again. If I have a kid, will that kid, resent me for being who I am, and he's trying to be who he is? I mean, all those things go into being an icon like that. And I learned a lot just being around him. I asked him one time, I said, "Who are the best basketball players you've ever seen? NBA, off street, wherever." And he goes, "You don't know him, Cozart." I said, "What?" He goes, "You wouldn't know him." He said, just like now, there's some 12, 13-year-olds in some place off the side of the street, jamming left hand, right hand, shooting jumpers left and right, that jumps higher than I do. He said, there's somebody out there that's going to just, pass us all. He said, so, and everybody is not gifted to be able to. There's a lot of great players, but they might not be mentally ready to play the game. They've gotten used to being who they are and where they are. They might not be coachable. He said, so a lot of times you got great players, but they don't fit. And, in NBA, you get paid to win, not play. You don't get paid to play. You have to win, or you see you.
Yep. So now, this is going to be an odd question, okay?
Okay. I'll try to give you an odd answer.
Yeah, well, it's a tough one. Okay. Now, what's your favorite movie that you're in that you watch of yourself?
Oh, well, first of all, let me preface it by I really don't watch a lot of my movies.
I figured as much, honestly.
And so it's really about the movie you're doing now. But
okay.
I really enjoy White Man Can't Jump because it infused everything that I love, from basketball to acting to meeting great players and having friends like Woody Harrelson and Wesley Snipes and a great guy like Ron Shelton, who these people you want to be around, whether you're making a movie or walking down the street. It doesn't, these are great individuals that happen to be great filmmakers. So Ron Shelton created the atmosphere it spoiled me, by the way. I mean, he spoiled me. I'm like, I thought everybody was going to be nice and intelligent. You treat the person that cleans up the same as you do the executive that signed your movie. And that's Ron Shelton. A quick story, we were doing a movie called Play It to the Bone with Woody Harrelson and Antonio Banderas, a boxing movie, and we were in Vegas, and Mandalay Bay had just been built, and nobody had stayed in it, and they wouldn't open it because the pool was made like a beach, and the machine that made the waves was broke, and it hadn't been fixed. So they allowed us to come in and start filming and staying in the hotel for like a month before it even opened. So we had the whole Mandalay Bay for a month and a half before they opened it. And so we were rehearsing one day, and this one, I think she was like an intern, and we had just, you set up a scene and you put tape down to where that's where your marks are, right? So we did that, and then we broke for lunch. Well, I got back early because I like to just get back on the set and go over stuff. I'm the only one there. And all of a sudden, this girl who was one of the ADs, she comes up, she goes, "Oh, hey, Cylk, I'm Renee or whatever. I'll be working." I said, "Okay." And Ron Shelton comes up, and just me and Ron starts talking about the scene. And Ron, he's dressed in jeans, T-shirt, and a baseball hat. And he looked like the janitor probably. And so the girl says, she said, "Cylk, do you want a coffee or do you want something to drink?" And I said, "Well, maybe water." And she goes, "Hey, you, go get 2 waters and a coffee if you want a coffee. And Ron looks at me, I looked at him, and we both kind of grinned because we knew she didn't know. And Ron goes, okay. Ron goes to craft service, comes back with water on a little thing, and she goes, okay, now what are you supposed to be doing? And he goes, well, right now I'm going to set up the scene that we're shooting. She goes, all the blood left her face. and she goes, you're Ron Shelton? He goes, I am. And so it taught me something valuable, a lot of lessons in that one moment, that he could have made her feel so bad. He could have made her feel like a piece of crap and yelled and stuff. And we know a lot of people that do a lot of yelling and stuff. You know what he did? This man said, he puts his hand on his shoulder. He says, honey, he said, let me give you some advice. He said, don't assume anybody on the set is anything but what their tasks are. He said, I'm the director and I can get you water and you can get me water, but don't do that again. And, I felt something there. And I learned a big lesson there. And it's like, just treat everybody like you would, your friend or your family. Why not? You get a better performance out of them no matter what they do then. He just might make a new friend.
True statement.
Cylk, my man, I think Wayne sent you a copy of our I think Wayne sent you a copy of our questions because you seem to be dominating every time it's my turn for a question. You already seem to be on it.
Oh, no.
My question is here about directing styles, and you gave us a wonderful story about Ron Shelton, and so I'm going to tie it into sports because as we know, sports like acting, you can have hard-nosed guys like a Bobby Knight and the football coach that you unfortunately had to go through, and then you have gentle, kinder, team-friendly guys like Ron Shelton. So it kind of sounds like, based on your story, you prefer to work with guys like Ron Shelton who are actor-friendly, guys who can teach you lessons without making you feel bad, like he did right there. Is that the type of director you prefer to work with? And is that the type of directors that majority of Hollywood has?
I believe that is the epitome of a great director. And most people think directors are people that just start telling people what to do. You go here, yelling and doing action. That's all they do. No, a great director has the same qualities, which is they listen. They have a great ability to listen to everybody in each department. You listen to your actors and you see what they've brought to the table before you start directing anything. You meet with each department head before you rehearse. So like Ron would sit down with the costume designer and say, how do you like to work? Do you have 2 or 3 changes for all of my stars? Or who do you work with? What stores do you have a relationship with? What can I do to make your job easier or better? That's Ron Shelton. Then you meet with every department head like that. They can't wait to get to the set. And so everybody's on the same page. That's the world that I came from. I learned that way. You listen. The listener is the most important person in the scene as an actor. You can't react unless you hear what's being said to you. So you have to listen so you can react. And it's more of a real reaction then. So you don't have to act, so I had to learn that. And Ron taught me a lot about that. So yeah, he's the kind of director. Dick Donner is the same way. Dick Donner he'll set the scene up, like Ron will set the scene up, and then he'll say, let's just rehearse it. And then he'll let you bring in what you brought in, and he'll say, okay, one more time. And then you end up doing what you probably rehearsed, and he will allow you to, like we were talking earlier off camera, improvise as long as you don't get carried away like Wesley did one time, and I'll tell you about that. You can go a little bit too far, and Spike Lee, we did a little something there in School Days. That was where it should be a new series called When Ad-libs Go Wrong. But
that'd
yeah,
be great tunes.
Yeah, great directors allow you to work, and they put you in the environment that's best for everyone. So you at the end of the day, on a Dick Donner movie or a Ron Shelton movie, you're like, we got to go. I don't want to go. I don't want to go home. Instead of going to some I've worked with some directors I'm not going to obviously name, but they're you go to the set and you're like, you feel like you're walking on eggshells, and you're afraid to say hello to somebody. Who feels like working there? I don't care what kind of job you do. Who feels like working in that kind of environment? So I learned really quick what a good set is and what a horrible set is. You walk on a set, and before you get to the area, you can hear them yelling at each other. Might as well turn around and go back, because that's going to be a set from hell.
Yep. My question is getting into your directing. You just directed Ball of Confusion, which I know, watching an interview with you, it seems like it's kind of a documentary style, where it kind of follows the evolution of the game of basketball, and you and a friend of yours kind of growing up through that evolution of basketball. I was curious, as a director, there's directing actors, telling them where to stand, what sort of emotion you want from them. When you direct a documentary, you don't really have to do that, but I'm curious what sort of challenges come up directing a documentary that you don't have when you're directing actors.
Well, first of all, when you're directing actors, I learned, like with Ron and with Dick Donner and even Spike Lee, they taught me that to let the actor bring in what that actor has brought in, and then you direct that. And with a documentary, you have to be factual and you have to be exact. And whereas an acting scene for a feature film, you have a lot more room to play with. Documentaries can go on and on and on. It's like you got to know when to end it, when to stop it. Like we were gonna try to put the film out, Ball of Confusion, out a couple of years ago, but then we found the only voice recording of Dr. James A. Naismith, the only one on the planet. It was in the library of University of Kansas, in the back of in the corner, on the old reel-to-reel,
That's crazy.
And I was like, oh my God, thank God I did, but you got to know when to say, okay, it's over now, or we can make it a 5-hour documentary. No. So I decided to make it a 58-minute documentary. And it's the history of the game, but more than that, it's about the using the simple game of basketball, how it brought cultures together. And the first game in Germany in 1936, the first Olympic game, we actually have the ball from that game, and we'll talk about that too. But my business partner, Keith Zimmerman, who grew up in Kansas City, grew up as a young Jewish boy, and his father had a store, a drugstore in where the Negro Leagues Museum was, 18th in Brooklyn. It's like where the big stars in the African American community were. Count Basie. He was there with Satchel Paige. Wow. Was like an uncle to him. When he was 5 years old, Satchel Paige had him on his knee and was talking baseball to him. Wilt Chamberlain walks in his grandfather's drugstore when he signed in 57 at KU, because he went to KU, and Keith met him when he was 5 years old. And the impact of that. And so the movie Ball of Confusion chronicles our lives as we were growing up during the 60s, 70s, 80s, and all up to today, what he was going through as a young Jewish kid growing up there and having both sides. Like he would, at his house and around his friends, he would listen to the Beatles and the Beach Boys, which was great. But then in the evening, when we go to Grandpa's store, he'd see Satchel Paige and all those guys. He would listen to Motown, and so he had all those worlds. I grew up in the South as my mom being Cherokee and my dad being black, but living in a white neighborhood, and really listening to country music, basically. And then when I would go into the city of Knoxville, I would see my relatives there that were listening to, all the jazz and the blues and all that stuff. So we were fortunate to have all those worlds. And we combined the music with what was going on in the world at that time as we grew up and leading up to today. So it's I didn't want to pattern the movie after any. I didn't want any rules. I just wanted to make the movie that I wanted to make. And and I give a tribute to Kobe at the end,
Nice.
which people really they left thinking, and it was only like a minute at the end, but it was they're saying it was very powerful. We've been invited to over 180 film festivals, and obviously you can't go to all those. So we picked we're going to Berlin, and hopefully Toronto, and hopefully Cannes. But anyway, it's directed. Back to your question. I'm sorry. Directing a documentary, you more or less have to. It's post-production, it's editing, it's timing, it's telling a story with all those old pictures and old video and we had tape that looked like it was falling apart. I was like, oh no, precious tape of Canadians, the Canadian team when they went over to Germany because Canada didn't pay for their Olympic athletes in 36, and the United States didn't pay for their Olympic athletes. So Universal Studios actor, his name was Boris Karloff. He played the Mummy. He played Frankenstein. He personally funded the American Olympic team to go to the first Olympic game. Wow. I mean, I love it. It's history. I always tell people in this movie, you might see 10% of basketball playing, but we're talking about the game itself, how it impacted the world, not just America. Yeah. So the directing is totally opposite. And I learned I think I'm an actor's director because coming out of the acting world, I kind of know when to leave somebody alone and when to give them a little help. You never tell an actor how to say a line or what to say. You just give them you say, how do you feel about this? And based off of how you feel, action right now. Because if you feel it, it's going to come out the right way. There is no wrong way. So then it gives them a little. You let them do one take after you get the takes that you want as a director. You go, okay, now just whatever you want to do, let's do it. And you film that, and a lot of times you use that part because they're so, they're like, they're so loosey goosey that sometimes it comes out better than what they did before.
That's incredible.
Ron Shelton taught me that. Dick Donner taught me that too. Mel Gibson taught me a lot too, actually.
I'm glad you brought up music during, when you were talking about documentaries there. Us three spent a lot of time during the first part of COVID there, going over the Last Dance documentary. And I think the music in that was so spot on. And it meant a lot to that documentary. I mean, every time, it seemed like they picked the perfect song for the right moment there. So I'm glad you touched on that. I didn't want to steal Sully's question or anything, but I just want to touch on the music. I felt like it was impactful for the Last Dance.
Well, and music music should enhance a scene and not take away from it. It's like a makeup job or a hair job. You shouldn't notice the hair, how great the hair looks or how great the makeup job. If it does, it takes you out of the story. It should blend in so you can absorb the scene. And the music should do the same. You shouldn't exclude the scene because a song, it's not the right song then. It should blend and so you can enjoy the scene and you associate each one with it. Like Against All Odds and the first movie that Kevin Costner did where he played a dead guy, I can't think, but that soundtrack was the best. The soundtrack helped the movie helped music. Everybody became successful from that movie.
Don't let us down here, Wayne. What was it?
The Big Chill, I think.
The Big Chill. I mean,
I knew he'd have it.
I knew he had it too. But that soundtrack was fire. I mean, it's always a good movie is always going to be a good movie. You can put it on, even if you know it, like The Rookie.
Now, who would you say is your favorite actor or actress that you've ever worked with?
Wow, you're gonna make some of my friends hate me.
I know.
That's like saying, what's your favorite meal? What's your favorite thing to eat?
Who's your favorite child? Exactly.
Yeah. Well,
not just that. Why was he your favorite or she your favorite?
I happen to think or feel that, wow, that's such a tough. Denzel Washington is the most incredible talent I've ever seen.
He's my favorite actor of all time.
He can go from 0 to 10 and then cut, and he's like, okay, what y'all want to eat? you know. And then action, and he's got tears. It's like, cut, and he's like, man. Now, what were you saying about Tennessee? Yeah, I mean, he can, and he's so smart. And I'm not just saying it because he's the reason that I got White Men Can't Jump or any of that. I mean, but he is such a practical guy. I would have been in a lot of trouble over the years just being in Hollywood and that scene had it not been for Denzel. He would mentor me. He would say, amazing. I would say, hey, I heard there's this party going on. I heard, producers and directors are going to be there. And he goes, what? He says, where are you going there for? The party or to get a part? I said, well, both. And he goes, ain't going to happen. He said, don't go to a party expecting to get hired. He said, go to a party and have a good time if that's what he said, but if you go there expecting a job, you're going to be disappointed. And it taught me so much because he says, you can't be framed if you're not in the picture. So I thought I needed to go to all these Hollywood parties. I didn't have to go. Nobody gets hired at a party. People wanting to get high, drunk, get laid. They're not going, hey, who can I hire here? It just doesn't work that way. And a lot of my friends, and some are female, that would come out to L.A. thinking, oh, I'm in L.A. I want to go to the parties where all the producers and directors are. And I would be their Denzel. I would say, well, you got to think about why are you going to the party? I would say, don't go to lunch with some producer or director thinking you're going to get hired. Go to lunch or dinner if you're hungry and you like the company of that person. Go to the office and audition for the part. You don't need to go to dinner unless you like really like the person. If you really genuinely like the person as a person, I would never tell you not to go to lunch or dinner. But if you're going thinking you're gonna be impressive and you're gonna be all cute, he's not gonna be thinking about you cute. It's a date in his mind. I'm not saying everybody does that. Everybody doesn't do that. But only 90%, No, but
no, that's probably the dead honest truth right there, man. I'm not like,
that's raw. That's the raw truth. Yeah, exactly. It's the raw truth.
Now, Cylk, if you thought that Sully's question was going to have you hurting some feelings, I don't want you to burn any bridges here, but who is somebody that you did work with that you would not work with again? Is there anybody in your acting career, male or female, that you worked with that you would not work with again? Or is there anybody out there that you've heard of that you're just like, based on what I've heard of from people I know and trust, I don't want to be in a film with that guy. I don't want to work with them.
There's actually quite a few of those people.
Oh,
I hate to say that. And I'm not going to give them the pleasure of saying who they are. I just want you to know for a fact, there's as many, and I'm just being real, as many people but there were more people good that were nice and everything than there were bad. But there were so many in Hollywood that you want to see. I'm from a family that, when you say, hey, we love you, well, they really mean it, and in Hollywood, they'll say that to get you, to get something out of you. And then you go through this thing and, and the next thing you know, a year or two of your life has gone by and you wasted this time with this person. He's just going to the next, or they're just going to the next one. And then next thing you know, 5 years goes by and you're like, whoa, wait a minute, and now it's my fault. Shame on me for allowing them to affect me that way. So there are so many, and you see this, what's happening now with the Weinstein situation and all that. I had a situation where at least 4 movies were taken away from me because I did not participate in certain activities at certain parties and events.
What?
Oh my God. And and you see, and you're going to, there was so many, there's one producer, he's not around anymore. He passed away shortly after he did some things, but it's some bad people out there, but it's some really good ones. And I always look at it like this. I say there's 90% of the people that come up to me that recognize me or people that want to get in the industry, younger people or whatever, or people that think they can, hey, there's an actor, I bet I can get it. I know they're wanting something. That's about 90%. I just wait on the 10% people, the 10%ers to come around. You know, the ones that just like you just because they like you, or they want to talk to you because they want to talk to you. They don't have an agenda. Well, you know how difficult that is to decipher. But that's what they mean by keep your enemies closer. Keep your friends close, but your enemies closer. I used to think, oh, that's stupid. Why would I want my enemies closer to me than my friends? But I learned it's because you can observe them. They think they're knowing more about you. You're observing your enemies to know, okay, how far to go. But if you're just lackadaisical and think they're your friends too, that's when you get hurt. That's what I've learned. That's my experience, you know.
Wow, that's an incredible story about the roles taken away because you wouldn't participate in some of said things. I mean, you hear these stories, and we're obviously not privy to the kind of stuff that you were and are, being in Hollywood, obviously. But I mean, that's just sickening to think, man.
Oh, I think one Christmas I didn't get to come home because, and that's the only time I didn't get. And I prayed to God. I said, God, this will never happen again, and it didn't, thank God. But I was promised, not only a role, but a company owed me a considerable amount of money. And because it was a lot of money, I was thinking, they're going to, that's no big deal to them. But it got so close that I didn't have enough money to come home.
Oh, wow.
For Christmas. And I couldn't, and I had to lie to my family to tell them, we were doing this project. And I don't remember what I said. I was so angry that I had to lie to my family. And then I was put in that position. And it was just because of greed and people, wanted to withhold something, thinking they're going to get something later. And I learned a big, valuable lesson there, about counting your chickens, too, before they hatch. So that was a big one. So it never happened again. So, and I kind of mentor a lot of folks, and I make sure they know about the business side. It's show business. And the show is the small part. And if you don't do the right business, the show ain't going to happen. And if it does happen and you do bad business, it'll only be on for that long. So I try to, put the two together as much as I can.
Yeah, it'll chew you up and spit you out.
Yeah. And wait on who's next.
Actually, Patrice O'Neal talked about that. He's probably my favorite comedian, late great Patrice O'Neal, and he was never one to play ball, right, and do the things that people wanted him to do. And he referred to that as he said, Hollywood is just a giant dog that will eat you up, crap you out the other side, and then you have to go get in line to get eaten again. But here's the thing: there's people lined up to get eaten and crapped out.
Right, and that's sad, isn't it? It's sad. And you meet people out there that are willing to, sell their soul, and they do it. Literally. They do it time and time again. And you can't. I don't think you can change a person. I think you can change the way they look at things, the way they view things, and then it's up to them to change after that. No, nothing else you can do after that. But I honestly think that if we concentrate on the things that we have similar in each other, that because we've been concentrating on the things that are so different about it, from politics and just world activities. It's all about how we're not, the things that we're not alike. But what if we really took time to find out the commonality that we have with our I don't want to say enemies, but let's say Republican, Democrat. Not that I'm not trying to be political at all.
Yeah, sure.
But what if let's say you're on one side and I'm on another. What if instead of attacking each other about what we don't like, what if we actually said, where did you go to school? Oh, really? Oh, man, my dad went to that school. What is so-and-so still there? I mean, just small things and issues to find. And I guarantee you we'll find more things that we are of like energy than we are of not. And I think that's a great place to start a negotiation from, because I think we want the same things. We just have a different way of getting there. We all know how to get to New York, but I guarantee you there's some people that know more ways than we do.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, anyway, that's my little pet peeve of judging. I don't like to judge people at all.
Well, that kind of, like Jesse was saying, you kind of lead perfectly into the next question every time. Is
thanks.
The
he
question
paid me. Wayne paid me $2.50.
The question I had is, obviously we try really hard to put out the best possible products we can. We try to be professional. We try to be prepared. We try to have our questions right. We try to have the backgrounds right. And what's frustrating at times, and I try to stay focused on the positives, there's always another show maybe out there, right, that isn't putting in the time and the effort, and they're not putting out the product that we are, but they're being more successful than we are. And I always try to focus on, you know what, that I'm not going to worry about them. I can only worry about me. Let me just keep putting out the best possible product. But I'm curious, in your opinion, have you done a movie where you got done the movie and you said, man, this is a really good movie. I'm really proud of this. And then you look at like some Pauly Shore movie or something that's blowing you away ratings wise.
Biodome.
Shots fired.
Some Rob Schneider movie.
Oh, that's cold. That's cold.
Don't you go, Schneider.
So the question is,
do you ever like do a movie and then you're kind of a little upset that maybe a movie that you feel isn't as good as yours is getting more publicity or more love than your movie?
No, that's never happened before. No. Yeah, I can say it now. No, yes. It's called marketing dollars. So that's why. And I think that's why your independent movies usually make all the awards. Most of the awards, like 90% of the awards, are independents because they actually give a damn about what they're doing, and not that the big movies don't, because trust me, we need the big ones and the big budgets and everything. But those smaller movies, man, but if you don't have the money set aside, as I'm talking as a filmmaker now, because a lot of young filmmakers just want to get the movie made and they have no idea how to sell it or how to market it or what the demographics are. There's so much you got to do now. It's so different, but you still have to move with the times is moving. And if you don't have the amount of funds to promote what you've just spent your blood, sweat, and tears on doing, to me, that's not very smart. I think then you're relying on whatever happens. I just don't think that's true. I think you should try as many different ways to, before you make the film, you should have an idea who you want to see it, and get sponsors or something to get it out there. Yeah, I made a movie that was I thought was a really good movie far as from an acting point of view. But the studios look at it from a marketing point of view or from a timing, or if somebody has a competing project, they'll take it off the market, or they'll, Hollywood is so cutthroat. I had a meeting with a lady that ran a major studio, and she told me how it worked. And we walked right down from her office, and she showed me the vault that had all these movies that had never been played or seen. And there was thousands of them from years back. And I said, "What this movie has so-and-so and so-and-so. Major stars in them. They'll never see the light of day." And I said, "Why?" She said, "Because somebody else made a film that was better than that, or they would buy it, not let them put it out, and they redid it or added to it or just took it off the market." And it never dawned on me that they would. And can you imagine being the writer or the director of that movie in Paramount? Oh, I said Paramount. Or any of the studios.
Hey, Jesse, say anything and everything on this show, man.
I feel like Mike Tyson, man. Where's my joint?
Slowly pass it over to him, boy.
Yeah, I got you, man. Yeah.
But it's like you don't think about those things. Like you're telling everybody, yeah, Warner Brothers and Paramount so just bought my movie. All right, really? Oh, good. Okay. A month later, hey, when's your movie coming out? I don't know, but they bought it and they got it. 3 months goes by. and you try to call Paramount or Warner Brothers, you can't get anybody on the phone. You're like, wait a minute, when are you putting out my movie? Well, it's in the plans. They have no. They're not doing it. So they have so much content that they could use that unbelievable. And of course, Disney they have the most content of anybody on the planet. They've got content from way back, Mickey Mouse stuff. They could lose their whole TV division and still have more than any studio put together. Those other studios. So now you can make a movie with your cell phone, and you don't have to have those marketing dollars that you normally would have. So the game has changed a little bit, and I'm glad I went through the metamorphosis. I'm glad I went through that 35 millimeter stage where you actually shot on real film. You actually could see the editing, and you got to really see the process, because it's always going to be a process. And I think watching all these great directors and working with them, I would get up in the morning just early, even if I wasn't shooting that day, just to see how Ron Shelton, where he would set the cameras and where the sound guy would put, things, and how the gaffers would light the stages, and all that helps the acting. Then it wasn't so mysterious when you get to do it, and Hollywood tries to make things feel like they're the only ones that can do certain things, or they try to say, well, sports movies don't do well. This was a long time ago. And they're like, really? Until, the real good ones come along and you go, okay, there's that theory. So you just make the movie and make the show, put on the event that's in your passion that you want to make. That's what you do. That's what I learned to do.
Now, going through all of that, what's something that you think back on and you're like, God damn it, I wish I wouldn't have passed on that. Like, I really wish I'd have taken that reading or taken that gig. And you just, at the time, I get it probably wasn't right. But after, hindsight looking back, you're like, damn, I should have done that.
Well, you're going to laugh, but it was
The Rookie.
I was this close.
Yeah, for it, you were almost in it,
dude. There was two projects. One was when I got to Hollywood, and being Native American and Black was a little different. They didn't have many people that had my look, and I auditioned for a movie for a character that was Hispanic and I believe white. So, and it was called La Bamba. And it was to play Richie Valens' brother was half, I think it was Latino and I think white, I believe. I can't remember exactly. So I was, they gave me a screen test. So it was between me and Esai Morales, right? And it kept going back and forth. And I'm like, wow, and so the family liked both of us. But before they hired Esai, I was in the running. And my agent at the time, he says, it's not going to look right. It's not going to look good. They're probably not going to use you because, you're African-American and Native American, not Native American and Hispanic, which was what he was. And I said, well, but I can act, and he said, no, I think we're going to, pull out at this point and concentrate on some more athletic roles. That day, he did that. And, who knows? Esai is a great actor and he's one of my good friends, but I didn't even get a chance. I got that close and it didn't, I always wondered what would have happened then. Mm-hmm. And then on something like Jerry Maguire, it was between me and Cuba Gooding Jr.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
And, yeah.
Oh, wow. That would
going back
crazy.
And forth. Oh,
Show
man.
Cylk the money.
Yeah, and see, I would have done that. And it's like you can have 10 actors and line them up and have each one say that line. And each one will give you a different rendition to show me the money. That was Cuba's way. I might have done it a whole show me the money. It's so many ways you can do things, and that's why you got to do what's you bring to the table, and don't try to do what somebody else has done. So yeah, that was those two. I guess it's not exactly in the framework of what you.
No, that's definitely it.
Yeah,
I didn't get an opportunity.
Those are both movies we all know about.
Actors did. I know there was a lot of movies I wanted to get in, and you didn't get. I mean, I would love to play. I would love to play James Bond, but I'm not British.
Well, they let Scottish people do it too now. And I'm pretty sure Pierce Brosnan's Irish.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And
they're all on the same island.
Yeah, I did a movie with Pierce. He's a great guy, Pierce. I did, but what's the guy's name? He's British. He's black.
Idris Elba.
Iris.
Oh, yeah. Idris Elba. Yeah.
What a fantastic actor. What a great. I think they should let him play James Bond. I mean, just to have another way of.
I'm pretty sure he's in the running. I hope they do.
Well, I heard that it's probably not going to happen, but who knows? I hope it happens. I don't know who else would be able to play that role. I mean, he's just a great actor. He's got great presence, and to me, he's up there. He's way up there. He'll get an Academy Award one day he's pretty soon, I think.
Oh, absolutely. He'd be perfect for 007, especially right now. You don't want to waste his acting prime.
He's got that swag too. You know what I mean? Yeah. That 007 needs. He walks around with a lot of charisma. I like it. Yeah.
And
so dipping back into
and he makes you what I think the best actors. Oh, sorry.
No. Please go ahead.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh,
I was just going to say.
Go ahead.
From an acting point of view, I was just going to say from an acting point of view, usually I like to see actors that look like they're not acting, that you just caught them in a talking to somebody or doing something. Those are your best. To me, those are your best actors, and it's hard to get to that place as an actor because you don't want to be self-conscious. So that's like De Niro. He doesn't look like he's acting. Tom Hanks, what a great actor. He doesn't look like he's acting. He's like you just having a conversation. So anyway, sorry about that.
No, please don't apologize. Yeah, it comes natural to guys like them, and I think another one that comes natural to that I like is Leonardo DiCaprio. I think it was very very natural to him, very organic.
Tom Cruise, same way.
Oh, absolutely. Dipping back into basketball here, Cylk. I want to, you mentioned playing some ABA in, the California area. Did you also play in the NBA Entertainment League?
Oh, I helped start the league.
Perfect. Can you talk to me a bit about that league and some of the players that came through that league?
Oh, it was one of the best times I've ever had on a 10-year. I played for 10 years in a row.
What was that 10-year span, just so our fans can know?
That's let's see, from 2001 or 2002 to 2010, something like that, or 99 to 2000 to 2000. Yeah, I played for that 10-year, that right in there. And I brought my friend with me, Dean Kane. I introduced him to that league, and
Superman,
he's phenomenal. What a great he is, and he really is Superman. He's one of the kindest, generous guys you'll meet, and very, very humble and very intelligent. I mean, you don't go to Ivy League school just to be a dummy.
On a whim.
Him and Brooke Shields, they were dating very much. But God, I met so many great actors and directors and people on all. It wasn't just actors playing in the league. And one year, you got drafted too. So that was fun. And you got to go to the party where you see what team you got drafted on. You're like, I'm playing with Snoop. This is great, Or me, it was. Let's see. One year it was myself, Justin Timberlake, Snoop Dogg, and Ice Cube. We're all on the same team. And one year, oh my God, it was so. Yeah, it was A lot of fun after the game too.
Exactly.
But
Well, we know Ice Cube has a passion for basketball. Look what he's doing with the Big Three.
Yeah.
Big Three, and it's supposed to be Olympic sports, 3-on-3 now, 2020, I think. It's what Nancy Lieberman said anyway, because she coached and she won the championship. Lady Magic.
Nice.
She's probably gonna be the first head coach in the NBA female.
She's a big deal.
She probably will. She is the deal. She is. I've never seen anybody play like that. Yeah, that's all I can say about Lady Magic. She's just phenomenal.
Yeah, my question actually is I'm going to change my question from what I had because we kind of answered this one earlier. So I want to change it to play off of Jesse's question, which is in the NBA Entertainment League, you're a guy who had a college scholarship, try out with the Denver Nuggets. Like, you can ball, right? And in the NBA Entertainment League, we have the other half of Flight and Willie, which is Willie, Dwayne Martin, also Kyle Watson from Above the Rim. Who's the better guard, you or him?
Yeah. I think I'm more of a shooter, scorer. Dwayne Martin's great. He was the last guard to get cut by the Knicks before he became an agent and started acting and all this stuff. He was unbelievably talented. We're two different types of players. He's that he'll lull you to sleep, and he can jump real high. He's got a nice shot. I try to kill you every play, but you got, oh my God, there was so many great players. Nigel McGill, Rick Fox's brother came and played, and nobody knew he was Rick Fox's brother. He was like 6'5". He could jump out of the gym and could shoot. I'm like, it's an NBA player playing over here, And Jamal Wilkes came a couple times. I mean, it's just player after player. There's a guy that owns a company. His name is Broderick Johnson. He's about 6'6", and a half, about 260. And he played ball, I believe, at Harvard or Yale or somewhere big. And he became like this executive. And, he did a movie with Denzel, where Denzel played the blind guy.
Bone Collector?
No, he was on.
No. Anyway, he shot in Mexico. I'll think of it in a minute.
Ezekiel. Oh God, what was it called?
No,
The Book of Eli.
Book of Eli.
Book of Eli. Yeah. So he did that film. He put that out, and he also
That's such a great movie.
It was.
Great movie. He also put out a movie I did called 16 Blocks. They bought that and put that out with Bruce.
We were talking about that earlier with
and
Bruce Willis. Yeah.
Most Def. But Broderick, nobody knew who he was. Just saw this big old guy, and he could shoot outside. He never would go inside. He always tried to shoot. So the game that I had I broke the league record single is like 46, 48 points. I had like 12 threes or something like that. Anyway, so after the game, you go in there, you go in the dressing room, and the other team is getting ready to play the other team. So you're passing, But then I waited late, and I went in, and he just got out of the shower. He's sitting there, and he's like this, and he's like, and I was like, "Hey man, good game." And he goes, "Yeah, for you." He actually was mad at me, and I said, "Hey man," I said, "Hey, got some days the goal looks like it's this big, And he said, "Man, I ain't never been beat like that." I said, "Well, where are you from?" He told me. He said he played. I said, "I knew you played somewhere." And I said, "Oh, by the way, what do you do?" He goes, "Oh, I own Alcon Productions." Oh, okay. Hey. I said, "Sorry about what I did. The elbow, I didn't mean it really." Just
right? Hey, are you here to play basketball? Or are you here to get a job? Right?
Hey, I'm like Bernard King. If it's played against his brother, he would he wouldn't smile. He said if he smiled and act like he couldn't play hard. He couldn't play his best. If that he was like, he had always had a scowl, and it's always like, but he was Bernard King. He could do that.
Yeah, it's funny. Before Dan gets to his question, is that Bernard King actually might be one of the most underrated NBA players of all time. I mean, he was so good, and people don't really know him like this age player.
You're right.
But I think that it's funny that you brought him up a couple times because I think of that line again in White Man Can't Jump when it's 8-8 and they're like, "Hey, well, Billy's white, so we don't want him to play." It's like you could bring Bernard King in here. We hitting 2 and we out.
That's right. That's right. Oh.
You put that line in the movie, didn't you?
Bernard was special. Not me. But Ron, don't forget about the improv. I want to tell you what happened on White Man Can Jump, an improv story real quick.
Oh yeah.
We're here right now. So yeah, go ahead.
Oh, we're good. Okay. Well, we're shooting. Yeah. You know the scene where the 2 guys that were chasing Woody the whole movie, the Stookie brothers.
Yeah.
Yeah. The guy who had a beard. One of them was my roommate. His name's Frank Rossi. Great actor, great writer.
Awesome.
He teaches acting right now. So I said, no, you got to, so I introduced him to Ron and everything. So anyway, gets the part, and he's got a shotgun. There's a scene where they got Woody's in his underwear, and he's in handcuffs, and they're like, hey, bring the money, He goes, I'll have the money, I'll get the money. So that scene afterwards, Wesley, we did a scene where Wesley and Woody were talking about what just happened. And Wesley, being the ad-lib king that he is, he just started going off on the like, yeah, well, you Guido motherfucker, this and that and this and that. And Ron goes, wait a minute. Cut! What are you talking about? Guido, guy's got a gun on you. You're going to call him a Guido motherfucker? I don't think so. And then Wesley goes, yeah, you're right. Okay, yeah. So, some things you can get away with, some things you can't, So, and the whole scene where I go back to SeaWorld, that Ron let me make that up. That was all I got to make that up. I said, give me one more take. I said, I feel like I got something else. And I didn't tell Woody what I was going to do. I just said, give me the ball. Let Wesley guard me. He's not supposed to guard me anyway. He's not supposed to be able to guard me anyway. So we had a lot of choreographed plays, but they felt staged. And I asked Ron before he started changing the scene to go to the next scene. I said, Ron, can we do one more? I got one more in me. I something I want to do. And he goes, I don't want to hear it. Just do it. I said, okay. So they set it back up. And Woody goes, oh, God, what are we going to do? Cylk wants to do something, So that whole time we did the dialogue. But when I got the ball at the top of the key, I had no idea what I was going to do or say. And Wesley didn't know either. I didn't tell him. So I was dribbling the ball behind my back, between my legs, talking like, what I said. And I pump fake, went up. And I thought I missed the shot because it hit the back and it goes straight up. And I went, oh, my fault. You can hear me in the back say, oh, my fault. And then it goes in. I was like, yeah, both of y'all, go back to SeaWorld. It wasn't written. It just came out. I thought, go back to the beach, where they play beach ball. This is Watts, So it became like one of the most, everybody remembers that scene. I was in Africa and go back to SeaWorld. Unbelievable.
That's
so
brilliant.
That was just changed my life, that movie.
So now speaking of that movie and speaking of basketball, and you had mentioned that, obviously in that time there weren't a ton of roles, so a lot of African-American actors were auditioning for the same roles. So there's a rumor that you were up for the Sydney role. And it obviously went to Wesley Snipes. Yeah. And you ended up playing the role of Robert. And now there's obviously another rumor that Wesley Snipes is not very good at basketball. There's actually a rumor that he's pretty terrible at the game of basketball. Now, for one, is he terrible at the game of basketball? And did it irk you that somebody so bad at basketball ended up getting a basketball part over you?
Well, okay. Now you gotta give me something here, because that was then, and we thought certain way then when you're going through it, and 30 years later you're like, you think a little bit different. So at the time I was like, how could he, why would they, and Ron Shelton said to me, and that's when we became, I told him when he took me to dinner to tell me that the news because he had tried to I was in first position. Everybody was reading with me. Tom Cruise came in to read with me. He left.
Oh, wow.
Let's see. Keanu Reeves came in after Tom Cruise. And you got to understand, those two guys were the biggest stars in the world. And I think Speed was just out, and it was the number one movie. And then right before that, but for Tom Cruise, it was
Few Good Men.
Oh God, no, it was way before that. Where
Top
he was
Gun?
in a Top Gun. Top Gun.
Oh God! And that movie was
so you got to understand. It was unbelievable. It was the biggest. Those two movies. They made like $1 billion in 1 week. Or something. And it was like, so now they were reading with me. So I was, but the studio Fox said, wait a minute, what's a Cylk Cozart? We don't know who he is. We're not going to put $30 million in a no name. And Ron said, yeah, but he's my guy. He can play at the level. I don't have to do tricks with him. He can dunk. He can shoot. He can play the game. And he's a really good actor. And that's who I want to go with. And Ron fought to the last second. They were going to pull the movie if he didn't use Wesley, because, and I didn't know all this was going on. I was just reading when I would come in and there's Tom Cruise, and then when Woody came in, oh my God, I threw down the script and we just ad-libbed and we just went at it. It was like we've known each other for years. When Keanu Reeves came in, I threw down the script and tried to ad-lib, and he was like, dude, where we at? What are you doing? I was like, so, and
Different
Tom
vibe.
Cruise it was a whole, Tom Cruise was one terrific actor, but he goes, can't really play ball that well. So after we read the script or the scenes, we would go outside and just shoot around, and Ron would have us, he had other players there to do a 3-on-3, 4-on-4, or just a layup line. Well, you could tell if people can play in a layup line. So that was a very quick thing. So he went to Chicago to meet with John Cusack so he could use me. He was trying to get all the white leads he could so Fox would use me. And that's how much Ron wanted me in the movie. And then, I didn't have a name at all. Nobody knew who I was. But nobody knew who Kevin Costner was when Ron put him in Bull Durham. And he fought for him. And he goes, he hits to all sides, and he's got a better stroke than the guys that are playing. He just doesn't look athletic, But with White Men Can't Jump, Ron, and so finally he went to Chicago, met with John Cusack. John Cusack obviously could open the movie. I think Say Anything was out, and it came out. And then he took him to the basketball court, and just couldn't play at the level. They need you can't fake certain things in basketball, and if you notice with a lot of close-up shots, a lot of slow motion shots, it takes away the actual real-time action, any mistakes you might make. So I actually worked with Wesley when they told me that they had to give it to him. Dolores Robinson was his manager. Great manager. She managed Sinbad and Harry Hamlin. She managed a lot of big actors. And she said, if you got to use my client. He's, I love Cylk, but Wesley's got a movie called New Jack City. It just came out. So I went to New Jack City. It was playing in Pasadena in one theater. And we went there. This was while I was up for the lead, right? And one of the scenes in the movie is a basketball scene. And Wesley is playing. Of course, you're an athlete. You can watch somebody, the way they move, the way they catch the ball, the way they throw the ball, the way they just walk on the basketball court. You could tell kind of the level. And I went, oh, this is mine. This is my movie. And Denzel Washington was calling me saying, it's yours, baby. It's yours. It's yours. You got it. You got it. You got it. Ain't nobody going to get it but you. I'm like, and then Ron comes back and he goes, I got to give the role to Wesley. And I went, which role? And he said for Sydney, and he told me why. And Wesley was awful good about it. He was very kind, and we became friends. And I helped him, showing him how to handle the ball, how to get low, dribbling it, how to release and things, just little things, because I wanted him to look the best he could possibly look. And Ron
Yeah,
Shelton told me, he said he saw me working with him and stuff every day. We had a camp for 4 weeks before we saw a camera. We were doing plays just to get Wesley and Woody ready. And Woody is a good basketball player. He's not the quickest person in the world, but he knows the game, and he knows the game. He knows what he can do and cannot do. But he's so competitive. I mean, we were shooting, in between scenes, we were betting $100 on each shot, whether he was going to make a foul shot or a trick shot. He must have spent $30,000 just on the movie on betting and stuff, $100. So, yeah, that was a tough one because Ron knew that was my film, and he knew what that would mean to my career. But Fox had a deal with Wesley, and it was like, hey, let's put him here, and that's not taking away anything from Wesley. I'm just saying that's the way it is, and Wes knew that, and he took me to lunch, and he said, look, I'm not gonna. He said, I appreciate.
Oh,
we lose Cylk.
Oh, Cylk there.
Wesley probably cut him off.
Right? God damn, Wesley. Let's see if we can get him back.
All right, let's see. There's nothing I can do on my end. Hopefully he signs back.
No, yeah, he's just got to sign back in. Yeah, it honestly looks like his phone probably died. Or computer, whatever he was using. Well, if you're still watching, there he goes.
There he is.
Yeah.
We thought Wesley got you.
Oh.
Ah.
I mean, what an interview so far, though, guys. I mean, to be able to listen to everything we've gotten a chance to talk about, his early life, his directing portions, the fact that, he's acted in some of our favorite movies. It's been such a blast so far that, I mean, I hope we get to get some more of Cylk, but everything we've been able to talk about so far has been a blast.
Well, I'm excited right now, and I'm not going to lie that I'm actually kind of toying with the idea because this has gone a little while, and we still have another page of questions here, of kind of cutting this into 2 parts and doing a part 1 and part 2. I'm saying he'll come back on, but we'll do a part 1 and a part 2 upload wise, and then we'll just take Monday off. Like Monday will just be part 2, and we'll have an extra day off.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, because we've still got probably another page and a half of questions here. And honestly, I could ask him more because there are some follow-ups I want to ask him about some of the stories he said. So, I mean, I'd love to keep this going.
Yeah.
Hey,
Sorry about that.
Hey, it happens, man. It's technology, brother.
Yeah. Well, anyway, you got the gist of it, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. So I wanted to, touch base on that movie again, and a little bit further. I know probably about 10 episodes ago for our podcast, we did a movie draft, a sports movie draft, and White Man Can't Jump was absolutely drafted because it's one of our favorite movies.
Oh, just to be clear, it was my first round pick. Just so we're clear here, it was my first overall pick. You know what I'm saying? So,
Cylk, baby, I had to go Remember the Titans, number 1. I had to go. I had to go with Denzel.
It's a good one. One.
But speaking specifically about this movie and how much we love it and our fans love it, when it was being made, did you know that it was going to be what it ended up being? I mean, it has such a cult following. I mean, it is amazing. I mean, Wayne's got it in his top 2. Sully's got it in his top 2. Did you think it was going to be what it ended up becoming?
No, none of us did. And if somebody's saying they did, they're lying. We knew it was special. We knew we were having a great time, and we knew that a lot of people would see it. But when we finished and it was ready to go, the Rodney King thing happened, and it became that was the biggest story in the world at that point, or in America. So we had to wait months before we could release the movie because we were on lockdown. City was on lockdown. You had tanks on the streets. You had a curfew, 6 o'clock. You had to be. I mean, for weeks and weeks, and you know how frustrating that was, knowing you had this beautiful movie in the can, but you couldn't. Nobody could see it.
Just sitting on it because of circumstances outside of all your control.
We knew it was special, though. We knew it was really special, but we had no idea that it would be one of the 10 movies launched in the space shuttle up there. Along with Grapes of Wrath and The Godfather. So, I mean, just to be a part of that movie, it just makes you feel like you left something here for your family to talk about, or to see, and to say, wow, great granddaddy was in White Man Can't Jump. You know? No.
Absolutely.
But yeah, and that movie today, I think tickets they didn't cost but $5 then. I think now they're $12 average. So the movie would have probably, made like $1 billion compared to what, the money it made then. So as far as, inflation, as far as.
Of course. Dollars. I mean, it was incredible.
But it was all because of Ron Shelton, right? Ron Shelton. I sent Ron I'm getting ready to launch something. I don't know if you guys know about it. I'm launching a new Cylk whiskey and a Country Roads beer company with Rick Clark, who's a ex. He owned a NASCAR team with Brad Daugherty a few years ago. He and Brad Daugherty owned a NASCAR team. He was the first black NASCAR owner, actually, called No Fear. Really cool guy, smart, and he's my business partner. He came up with me and him are doing the whiskey and the bourbon and a wine. So we're getting ready to launch a whole brand. That's going to be cool.
I love me some whiskey.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'll send you guys some.
I was going to say, you got to send us some, man. We'll be all there. I'll have the bottles, the drink bottles right here. The empty bottles, because they won't be full for long, brother.
I have one right over here. But you'll really like the Country Roads. Country Roads, nice. It's a clean beer. It's really nice.
Absolutely.
That's awesome.
Yeah, my next question, sticking with White Man Can't Jump, I'm touching on your music, because you're also a singer, right? And you write music. And there's a scene in White Man Can't Jump, right, where they're riding in the car, they're bringing Sydney back home, and they're arguing about whether or not Billy can hear Jimi Hendrix, right?
Great scene.
And Billy gets pissed off, and he plays the song "He Stopped Loving Her Today." And he refers to George Jones as the greatest troubadour of all time. Now, you grew up in Tennessee, blues and country. What do you think about Billy's take that George Jones is the best troubadour of all time?
That's a good one. There's a lot of great troubadours I thought better than George, but not a lot. But what I thought was more impressive, that it was so subtle that I don't think anybody's heard it. Wesley goes, "Man, this sound like a dog." He thought he heard Labrador. And it was so subtle. He goes, "Man, that's a dog, man." Woody goes, So I think it was Woody is a very smart, very intelligent actor, and he could take a line and make it like he just thought of it, and that was one of those. And I mean, I just think that his choices are so spot on. I'm just a big Woody Harrelson fan. I think there's nothing he can't do.
Preach.
Still killing it in Zombieland.
Oh, I went to the premiere with him and his family, and he actually was a little insecure about the opening. And I was like, "What are you nervous about? You're Woody Harrelson. What are you talking about?" He goes, "No, man." He says he had to get another actor. He got Bill Murray because the studio said, "We'll give you a bigger release if you get another name with you." So he gets in touch with Bill Murray while I'm at his house. This is while they were filming. I'm at his house. He gets Bill Murray. Bill Murray didn't have a phone. He got on a computer and sent it. He was on some island. He doesn't use a phone or something. And
Bill Murray doesn't use a phone.
Not at that time. He might now, but not then.
I'm gonna guess he doesn't.
I was right there, and he was like, "When and where?" And next thing you know, Bill Murray's attached to the thing. They got a big distribution deal. And I saw how that, because Woody was like, "I don't know. I hope they laugh in the right places. What if they don't?" I'm like, "Bro, you ain't got nothing to worry about." He was actually nervous. And I was like, "You're making me nervous, and you're the big star," And but it was a hit, and it just made everybody involved in that movie better and bigger.
It was a great movie.
All right.
Well, I think you already asked your question about Wesley, right? So I think
I got a different one though, if it's okay.
Oh,
Now I have a enormous crush on Rosie Perez.
get in line.
Yeah. What was it like to work with her? I mean, for one, she's hilarious and she's gorgeous and, she's all these things. And so I assume she's such like an extremely wonderful woman to be around. Just talk to me about Rosie Perez. That's all I want to know.
First of all, she's gorgeous. She is very intelligent. She's so funny, naturally funny.
I agree. Naturally funny.
Oh, and just the life, I mean, that voice, Ron was telling me they had to take down like 3 notches of her voice because it was so shrill. Wow. But, she's at the top of the line because she can do so many things, not just being bilingual, but she's a wonderful, terrific director. I don't know if you know, she's been directing some things, but she just is a great person to work with. She makes everybody around her better, and she has zero fear, in a male-dominated, industry. In the audition, it was all, white girls, and she walks in and everybody was like, and there was some big names there. And they were kind of laughing, like, what are you here for, the maid role? Oh, there's no maid role. They were saying stuff like that. And she just went in and did her thing. And Ron just fell in love with her like everybody else does. And
she slayed it.
I just asked Ron, I said, I just want to be on the set. What day? when Rosie and Woody.
Yeah.
I want to be behind the camera. No.
Pretty sure my 13-year-old self was loving that. Yeah.
Oh my God. And
pause, rewind, play.
Yeah. Woody and Rosie are such terrific actors. Like when he threw the water on her, they were in bed.
Throws it on her face.
He didn't tell her he was going to do that. He didn't tell her that he was going to do that.
That's incredible.
That could have been
real bad,
a really bad situation.
That's good chemistry for sure.
You look at her response. It's like, okay. That means she was going to get him at another time.
Yeah,
she had to go with that because it wouldn't have worked if she'd have done it any other way, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But to give you an idea how great Wesley Snipes is, when we were doing the scene in Watts where the guy was going to hold the money, and he grabbed it from me, and I grabbed him by the neck right in front of Wesley, and I was saying, "Man, don't grab my money. What's wrong with you?" When he grabbed it, I went to get him to grab him by the neck, and one of the $100 bill or whatever it was, grazed Wesley's eyeball, cut his eyeball. Okay, Wesley. And you look at the scene again. This is so cool. He goes like this, and he keeps the scene going. He goes, "Man, come on, man. Well, don't worry, but the bakery ain't open yet. Come on, let's go." He just kept it going. Now, I didn't know I hit him. I didn't know I grazed him. So after Wesley's sitting there doing this, and he goes, before we do it again, and it was like, I said, "What happened?" He goes, "You got me, Cozart. You got me." I was like, "What'd I do?" He goes, and I didn't realize I did it, but he kept going. It didn't even, and that was the take that they used for the movie. And it was so real. And I felt so bad, It's like Julia Roberts really hit me in the head in Conspiracy Theory when I was out for about maybe 2 seconds.
Really?
She really knocked me out. And,
holy shit.
And I thought, I was out, and I thought, I can't be out. Am I out? Yes, I'm out now. I'm up. And I'm like, I was out. And then I tried to joke. I tried to play it off, right? So as I'm getting up, I'm like, I say the line, and believe me, it came out real. And so afterwards, I kept holding my back of my head, and Julie goes, did I? She goes, "I'm left-handed, and I don't know how to pull the punch." And I said, "Well, yeah, you got me, honey. You got me on that one." I said, "Now I have a headache." She goes, "Oh no, I'm so." most of the day after that, I was walking around with a big old ice pack, bigger than my head, like right on. And I would see her, and she would go, "Oh, I'm so sorry, Cylk." I said, "No, it's okay. It's okay." You know what I mean? So, oh my God, it didn't hurt that bad, but I wanted to, make her feel that, so she would give me a makeup kiss or something. Guys, we try to put.
Exactly. You gotta
Play
get
the
that
game,
somewhere.
Cylk. Play the
She
game.
was single. She was single then.
Hey-o.
And a fox too.
Yeah.
Oh, she's the epitome of a fox right now, and she's so kind.
Oh.
She's such a great actress. You know what she did? She literally changed the scene. That scene in the hallway of supposed to be the CIA where she does knock me out, where she goes, "Who's the deputy director of the FBI?" Well, we did a rehearsal where over my shoulder, over her shoulder, camera over mine, over hers. And when Dick Donner came up and says, "Okay, let's rehearse this," Julia said, Hey, Dick, could we do something like this? Like if Cylk was in front of me and I was behind him and the camera is in front of him and we could be on camera at the same time? And I was like, damn. Can you tell the director that? And Julia Roberts, and then
the good ones can.
Dick Donner, yeah, right. Dick Donner said, he calls everybody kid, right? Because he was like 75 then. He goes, "I like that kid. All right, reset." He reset the whole scene and just used one camera, and he blurred my face out and made her prominent, and it's called rack focus, and then you blur her out, and then I become prominent when I'm talking, and it became one of the coolest scenes in the film, and I was like, she saved the money and time because you just use one camera and do the whole scene with her in the behind, and just out focus, refocus, and I was like, I'm using that. And as a director, I'll do some scenes like that, and I'll go, "Oh, let me see, let's try something here." So you learn in every movie. I've learned something from everybody.
I know for a fact that we're going to take some of these nuggets that you're sharing with us, and it's going to force us to rewatch these movies like White Men Can't Jump. And
especially when Wesley gets cut.
I have to watch that now.
Oh, that's a reason for me to rewatch it, amongst other reasons. But another great movie you did, and you gave us some great insight before. When you said you felt like other people were pigeonholing you in those athletic roles. Well, in Blue Chips, you're in a basketball movie, but you weren't a basketball player. Was this a nice evolution for you to be able to get into a role that was still basketball centric, but not where you were specifically a basketball player?
Well, as a ball player, you only think about being a ball player in the movie. I'm thinking, oh man. But the director said he was very pointed when he said, "I don't want to use anybody from White Men Can't Jump." He wanted to use all new people. And of course, he was an Academy Award winning director. So I didn't think I was going to have a chance. And I thought, well, okay, I'm not going to play ball, but I could do something else. I just wanted to be in the movie, and with Shaq. I mean, Shaq's first movie, and with Nick Nolte, so we get to a scene where I'm supposed to jump off the boat to bring Nick Nolte to meet Shaq. We're in New Orleans, right? And it's 150 degrees, right? And we're on a shrimp boat in Louisiana. And so I'm supposed to jump off right at the end, right before it gets to the shore, and go on in because I'm getting wet. I'm already wet. So the boat goes up there, and I look down there, and I don't swim, okay? I'm not a swimmer. I can swim, but I don't like it. I don't like water. You can't see what's in there, especially. Yeah. So he goes, "Okay, Cylk, just jump off it." I'm like, I don't think so. I ain't jumping in there. He goes, "Nah." What? And it's Billy Friedkin. He directed The Exorcist and The French Connection and 12 Angry Men. I mean, he's like one of the greatest directors in the world. And he was married to Sherry Lansing, she was the chairman of Paramount, who was doing the movie. So I'm sitting there talking to this great director, and I'm telling him I'm not going to jump off the boat. I literally said no. And he's got a reputation for slapping actors or hitting people, right? And I knew that. And I'm thinking, if this man comes up to me, I'm fired, I guess, because I'm gonna knock him out before he hits me. I'm thinking I'm gonna hit him before he gets me. I'm going back to LA, I guess. So I'm thinking all these crazy thoughts, right? And I didn't know. It's like rumors. You hear stuff. So he walks up to me, comes up to me, gets on the boat, and he goes, "What's the problem?" And I'm like, "Oh God, he's gonna slap me." You know, how am I gonna block it? Am I gonna duck? Am I gonna grab him and hit him over here? No. So I thought, I know he's not gonna hit me. He's not gonna hit me. So he goes, "You're not gonna jump off the boat." I said, "Will somebody get one of those poles and stick it down there and see how deep it is, and I'll do it." So he goes, he gets the stick, he pokes it down, and it keeps going and going. And I was like, "Look at that! Look at that!" And then Nick Nolte goes, "Well, hell, if Cylk ain't going, I damn sure ain't gonna go down."
Anyway,
That's
definitely. I'm one of those guys who, again, as a big movie buff, whether it's sports or not, I tend to find joy in the scenes that most people don't remember, right? And so my favorite scene of Blue Chips, and I love the movie, but my favorite scene, I think, is how pissed Nick sounds when he's like, "This guy better pan out. You're never coming to any more games at Western."
Yes,
that's my favorite.
Oh, really? When we're running down the bayou and across there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh. Again, and are you working with an Academy Award-winning director who gives you that freedom? He gave us that freedom to do that, which is good.
Now, my favorite actor, again, because I like obscure movies, I like obscure actors in a way. We talked about Bernard King. He's in a way an obscure basketball player because people just don't know how good he was. As a movie fan and being able to appreciate each role in itself, I love J.T. Walsh. I think that he is such a phenomenal actor.
Absolutely.
And you didn't really have any scenes with him in the movie, but I was curious if you got to interact with him at all.
I did. In fact, I got to talk with him before we started filming, and just you're right, what a terrific actor. And he's not with us, but man, what a great actor. And you really believed him, when he said friends of the program.
Yep.
And he goes, and Nick Nolte, "I hate friends of the program," and the fact that Nick Nolte stayed, he was with Bobby Knight for a few days, hung with him, before we filmed, and he didn't want to be like Bobby Knight. He wanted to have an edge that a coach of that nature would have. And I was like, whoa, I thought Nick Nolte did a great job of, as a coach, as a basketball coach. And then who was shooting left-handed foul shots with him?
Yeah, Bob Cousy.
That's right, man. I watched this man shoot 30 foul shots in a row in a suit. In a suit. And he was like 90 years old then or whatever. I'm like, wow. But the best part of Blue Chips was in between scenes and the days that we didn't have to film, you're playing ball with Bobby Hurley, Shaquille O'Neal, Penny Hardaway, Rick Fox, all those guys.
Matt Nover.
Matt Nover. Matt was a great player, man. I think he ended up playing in Europe somewhere. But he was like a knee issue. Yeah, but he was bona fide 6'8", could play, could shoot, had a touch, everything. I mean, that movie. I mean, I was in heaven with that movie. Because I got to play ball in between and then throw on my regular clothes and just be another character.
And we talk about, like I said, just so many roles in that movie. I mean, Lou Gossett Jr. in Chicago is the school, and you had Ed O'Neill as the reporter. I mean, just so many big people that were just like in little roles in the movie.
Well, look at Marcus Johnson in White Man Can't Jump. Because Marcus and I were friends, we'd play together. I told him, I said, "Oh man, there's something coming down the pipe, man. I think you're right for it." And he goes, "Really?" So I called Ron Shelton the day that I was going in to audition. And I said, not Ron, I called the casting director, Vicky Thomas. Couldn't get in touch with her. So I just told him, I said, "Just Marcus, meet me here and we'll go in together to the audition." He goes, "Okay." I hadn't told Ron or nobody. I just walk in, I do the audition, and I've worked with Marcus on his scene, when he puts on the mask and goes in. And so I was helping him, and he was out in the car. I had a little Suzuki Samurai. I had a little bitty car. And Marcus was in there like this. He looked like a camel in a car. And I said, I went in audition. And after my audition, Ron said, okay, well, we'll see you tomorrow. And the next day I was going in to meet with Tom Cruise. But as I was leaving, I said, oh, Ron, I said, you know the ball player Marcus Johnson? He goes, yeah. I said, well, I think he'd be right for that role of Raymond. And he goes, and I think about how naive I was then. I'm like, I'm telling Ron Shelton who's right for his part. And he goes, oh, you do you? You think he's right? And he's like smiling. I said, yeah. And I said, he's out in the car. He goes, you got Marcus Johnson out in the car? I said, yeah. So I ran out. He said, well, tell him to come in. So I ran out. He went in, got the audition, nailed it, kicked it. And I was like, wow, that made me feel so good. And we've been friends. That's why I called him, and he did a nice little part for me in the documentary, and he tells that story in the documentary, how we met, because I tell him to talk about Ron Shelton. I have him talking about Ron, and I have Ron Shelton talking about the game of street ball and how important, street ball was to the game, the development. Anyway, that's ball.
No, I loved that role so much. I mean, I've seen White Men Can't Jump probably 100 times. It's one of my favorite basketball movies, and no matter how many times I see it, I am always going to laugh when he goes, no, this ain't Raymond.
Yeah. Well, it's based off a true character, a real character.
Really?
A real guy. He was, I think, in Oklahoma. He was like in the 70s. And this story's been going around the NBA and around all over the country. There was a guy, I think they called him Moonshot or some kind of nickname, right? He was 7 foot, the tallest guy in the whole state. All right. Everybody knew, he's 7 foot tall. How many 7-footers are around, especially in the 70s? So he goes to a gas station and tries to rob, a mini mart kind of thing. He tries to does that. And the guy that he tried to rob knew him. He goes, Moon, what are you doing? He goes, nah, this ain't me. This ain't me.
Got him.
So that was perfect. And everybody thinks it was made up. No, that actually happened. That was a real character. So anyway.
Now, obviously, we love blue chips. I mean, I think all three of us do, and obviously, and everyone around. What was it like working with Shaq? And did you worry kind of when you were doing the movie that like people were just going to come see it because of the NBA celebrities in it? Is that even a worry? Do you care about that, or you just want people to come watch the movie in general?
We just wanted people to come and watch it. And I thought when you do a basketball movie, I feel like people, guys and girls that are basketball fans are going to see a movie about basketball no matter who's in it. It's a basketball movie. I want to see it. It's just name of the movie, basketball. I'm going to go see it. I don't care who's in it. So I thought the candy or the dessert was having Shaq, one of the most dominant centers in the league, or going to be, and you thought was. And, he wasn't signed with the Lakers. He was signed with Orlando at that time. So Reebok was really, paying him, and them and Paramount. So I learned a lot about that, about how that works, and shoe companies, how they can do a lot of things. But that was special because of the ball players and the type of players in one movie. I think that's very appealing to people. But to show how big league basketball and big blue chippers work, they were right on the money. It's just a lot of people didn't get caught,
Well, I mean, we see it now with the NCAA. The NCAA is probably the most hated entity on this show. We have nothing good to say about them, and it just that was a precursor to the disaster we see now, where kids are obviously still getting all kinds of money. And when that movie came out, nobody really thought it was happening, and it's just rampant all up and down college basketball, college football too.
I've always been a fan of they should give the players. Should get some kind of money.
Pay them.
At least have it when they graduate. There's a nice little check, whether it's
stipend,
$20,000, $50,000, something to get them started, because everybody ain't playing in the league, know. And you get hurt. What are you doing? You've made this university millions of dollars, and you got to watch these kids wear your hat and jerseys and your number, making money, and you don't make a dime off of it, and your coaches can get $10 million contracts. There's something really messed up about that.
Yep.
You know,
Absolutely.
So I think, and I addressed that in Ball of Confusion, by the way. And
awesome. Good.
I asked Oscar Robinson, the Big O. He's my business partner in the movie.
Oh,
I mean,
wow.
for the movie, he's a big part of this film. And I started off interviewing with him, and I mean, he said some things that, he averaged a triple-double, man. He averaged a triple-double, and he was one of the first big guards, 6'5" guard. You know, but they should put something together for these players. And I don't know the last time, you know, when they say players get special attention and all that stuff, and that's BS, because we got to study when you guys are sleeping, because we got practice at 6 o'clock in the morning. You know, we got to run wind sprints when you're snoring. And so when you're going to a 100,000 seat arena, I don't remember the last time 100,000 people gathered for a math class or history. So don't get it twisted, you know. And then, you know, now what are you going to miss? You're going to miss those football games, the basketball games, aren't you? You got that's a big revenue that's gone. And University of Tennessee just came out today about the schedule, but
buddy, go SEC football, baby.
Man.
You got a Gator right here. Jesse's a Bama fan.
Roll Tide, baby.
And then we got you with the Vols, man. We got the SEC reps right here.
But you know what? My business partner, Rick Clark, who's in Charlotte, who was the agent, and we have, you know, Country Roads and Cylk Cozartr together. He is a consultant and has been consulting Dabo Swinney for years. And so that's how I met Coach Swinney. I went up there. Really cool. We got pictures together. What a great human being. I didn't realize his story. You know, he was homeless when he was young. And so here's somebody that came from nothing. And those players will do anything for him out of love, not out of fear. And I watched him. We went to practice, and you don't really get in those practices. And he come running off the field, and he comes up, white man can jump. You know, he said, and I could shoot too, he said. So we're going to do a charity pretty soon, and I'll let you guys know. We're going to do a shootout, you know, like a 3-point shootout. He doesn't really know that I really can shoot, and which is – it's gonna be funny, and like, you know, we'll have sponsors to put up each time you make a bucket, $1,000, $5,000, whatever it is, for whatever charity, you know, his charity there at Clemson. But now this, you know, I call it the pandemic happened, so we can't really pandemic.
Damn it.
I like that.
We got everybody has to kind of on hold, but he's an unbelievable. I mean, that's the other orange. But I just love this man. And the way he disciplines his players is not traditional. Like, he'll tell you a story about, you know, taking a player fishing, you know, instead of making him run steps. It doesn't even say anything. He's sitting there with a fishing pole, not saying anything, like 6 a.m, picks him up and goes to the lake. And then that player's like, you know, crying and saying, Coach, I'm so sorry. I will do anything. What do you want me to do? And he goes, I just want you to be ready to play it Saturday. You know, that player will never mess up again. I mean, you know, that's like, you know, the strongest thing you can do sometimes is just to look at a player and give them that look, and that's all you need. Some players you need to hit on the butt and go, what's wrong with you? Some you just give them that look, and you got to know the difference. And he said, if a player hadn't gone through some things like I've gone through, then they could play football and deal with practice and everything we got to do here. So I expect the ultimate out of everybody. So they will run through a wall for that man gladly. So
he's a powerful force.
He really, and a funny guy. He's hilarious, man. He's naturally funny.
Going back to a powerful force that we just talked about, Shaquille O'Neal. You know, I want to talk about, you know, his basketball in that movie, Blue Chips. You know, did you see any similarities between him being kind of pigeonholed into a basketball movie and when you were as well? You know, because, you know, he really could only kind of fit that style. I mean, I don't think you're going to see Shaq doing any other type of movie, whereas you were able to evolve yourself into other types of roles. Shaq was really just that big athletic freak at that point. Now he does some funny stuff for TNT, but did you see him doing anything back then? Did you try and talk to him about any of that?
Yeah, we talked about it, and he said, I want to do this, I want to do that. And I said, but you got to look at how they look at you. You know, you're going to be looked at as a ball player no matter what. And I said, if anything, he asked me what I thought. I said, ride it till the wheels fall off.
That he did.
And he did. And the wheels ain't fall off yet. He's still, they
fell off a little with Shazam.
Yeah, Uncle Drew.
Well, I wasn't going to say anything. But,
I'll say it for you. No, he's fantastic.
Kyrie.
I love Shaq.
And I love Kyrie Irving, right? I love him. What a great player. And I wish I could have worked with him as an actor because I would have told him, you ain't got to, you could have done that without doing all that, I would have had him play his real game, but I don't believe you when you're still crossing over as a 70-year-old. You can still cross over and beat him, but not as a 30-year-old. You're playing a 30-year-old in a disguise. And I wanted to play. He could play an old man and still, body him up and fade away and do those kind of shots instead of dunking backwards and all that shit. I'm like, golly, they made it a cartoon. No, but I thought it was a good storyline. But yeah, Shaq. Some players, that's all they're going to be able to really play. Steel. You can play a superhero, but. I got to play with the Giant and Reggie's Prayer, Reggie White and Pat Morita and of course Paul White, the Giant. He was I think 23 at the time. He was 7'3", 490 pounds then.
Jesus Christ.
Paul White. We're talking about the Big Show, right?
Yeah,
Big Show. He said they laughed at me when I was in high school because I couldn't wear my shoes. I kept growing out of my shoes and there were holes in them and toes were sticking out and stuff. And he said, so he would walk to school. He wouldn't take the bus. I'm like, why? And I said, and we were playing basketball in between the scenes, right? He was dribbling the ball behind his back and throwing no-look passes and handling the fast break. And I was like, are you serious? I said, does the NBA know about you? And he goes, yeah. I said, well, I know you're going to wrestle, but man, I've never seen a 7-footer handle the ball like that. He said, yeah, I can do it for about 30 seconds. I said, what do you mean? He goes, he went like this to his chest. He said, heart. I can't get insured because I could die. My heart. He said, I can't do something over but a few seconds, and then I have to rest. In a few seconds, and I have to rest. So you watch his wrestling, they do it in spurts. It's not a consistent. So with him, there's definitely a rest period into those bangs and falls and things. So, that's what I love about my career. I get to meet people like that in all walks of life.
Yeah, all kinds of different people.
Speaking of those two giants, they actually had a wrestling match, or at least a storyline for a wrestling match. Paul,
really?
Big Show and Shaq. Yeah, they ended up having a bit of a storyline back in the day. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, our mayor, the Knoxville County mayor,
Kane, baby.
Kane, baby.
Glenn Jacobs.
Hey, and he's probably the smartest guy in the room. Unbelievably intelligent, and just
don't make him put that mask on.
Oh man, hey, you wouldn't want to tussle with him, man. He's like 6'11", about
big boy.
300 something, but he's sharp.
The Demon Kane.
Yeah. I interviewed him for my movie, so he's in the film.
Oh, man. One of my favorite wrestlers of all time. I'm a big wrestling fan, so Kane's one of my favorites of all time.
I can't believe he's our mayor.
The mayor. Honestly, I almost brought him up. You were talking about Knoxville, and I was like, the mayor of Knox County?
Yeah. I almost called him Kane one time when I met with him. I said, Mayor. Mayor Kane, I was like, he would have kicked me out of the office probably, but
big great. Old boot.
I love this city. This is a great city. This really is a great city.
I had so we got about 6 more questions for you. I really appreciate you sticking around with us for so long because it's been
absolutely
amazing. My next one,
you guys are great.
3 to Tango. You play Kevin Cartwright. Right?
That was a
curveball
sports movie. Yeah. That was a football movie.
AKA the Ponderosa. Right?
Yeah.
And,
always open, baby.
Right. So my question about this movie, so I actually thought that this was actually a phenomenal movie in the sense that this came out in 1999, And the way that they portrayed gay characters in the movie was not cartoonish, and it was not flamboyant. Every gay character in the movie was a very just normal Oliver Platt, John C. McGinley at the end of the movie, which surprised people. But it was like, it really portrayed. I feel like it did a wonderful job for 90 minutes, just saying, listen, being gay is normal. All of these people are normal. And yet they're homosexuals. And I thought it was such a wonderful message that maybe got overlooked because it's a comedy, but maybe got overlooked. But I thought that was such a wonderful message.
And you know what? I absolutely agree. And you know who was a big part of making that a reality is Cher's daughter at the time, before the transition.
Yeah.
She was on the set to make sure that nobody was doing or saying anything stupid or doing anything stupid. I mean, but it went smooth. It was just such a phenomenal movie. And I got to tell you, Matthew Perry was going through a lot at that time. During that time, that was a very, very difficult time personally for him. But we knew something was going on, but we didn't know what it was. But this guy is such a pro. You would never know it. And he was just so wonderful to work with. And I can't say enough about him. He's just, and we've stayed in touch over the years, and just a phenomenal guy. And then when you learn that he has gone through all that stuff, you're like, wow, how do you keep going? How did you do that? You know, and Nev Campbell, we became friends. I actually got to introduce Woody to Nev. Because I thought all stars knew each other, but they don't. You think you might see each other, but no.
That's awesome.
That movie, I thought, people are gonna judge me. I'm playing, a professional football player that's gay, and I thought, when I met with Warner Brothers about it, I said, a long time ago, I said, I don't want to play a gay character because somebody's gonna think I'm gay, and I'm not gay, and I wasn't doing it. I wasn't not doing it because I think there's anything wrong with that. I thought, but I'm not going to get hired to play a straight guy anymore or something, And then the casting director said, do you want to be an actor or not? And I thought, I want to be an actor. And I said, I'll play the role, but I do not think he has to be stereotypical. Like,
right.
And it is a comedy. So in a comedy, you can get away with things that you can't in a drama. So I didn't want him to go. I didn't want the character to be like stereotypical, like where they make fun of gays, like, oh girl, that kind of stuff. Yeah. It's overdone. I said that's not realistic. I said, so the director, his name is Damon. He says, so well, how would you play this character? I said, play him the same way I would if it was about a girl. Love is love. If you're in love with somebody, you're in love with somebody. You can't help who you're in love with or who you like, who your interests are. If you like. If you like green beans and somebody hates green beans, so you hate them because they hate green beans? Their taste buds don't like it no matter what you do, So, and it taught me a lesson that you should be able to work with anybody because nobody should be judging anybody. You should be happy that people are happy enough and have a brain enough to continue doing their passionate work. That's what you should worry about. But anyway, I know you had I wasn't sure if that answered the question or not.
No, yeah, perfect. Yeah,
so it definitely does.
It did, and then you stole part of Sully's.
Yeah, then you stole. I was going to ask. Well, no, you're fine, because I was going to ask. No. We want you to do this.
Ability. It's an amazing
really
talent.
Is. You're like your 6 cents on leading us into our next questions is honestly insane, dude. So obviously, the question I was going to ask is like, what'd you think about getting this role, and like, what was your thought process going into it? And then was, oh great, I'm just going to play another athlete. But clearly, you had a whole different kind of thought process going into this, and it's amazing to hear, and it's incredible.
Thank you. I was actually not going to do it because of the old way of thinking. People would tell you, other actors would say, man, why you want to play a gay? Why don't they just get a gay actor?
Get a gay guy.
I'm like, you know how stupid you sound right now? I'm like that. And then I thought, wow, here's an incredible opportunity to show that love is love. People are people, regardless, and, that if you have an opportunity here in a cinematically speaking, that a lot of people came up to me after that and said, thank you. I would be in an airport and I had many, many people at all the time. I mean, just the other day, years later, that's the thing about movies. You do a good movie, it's always a good movie,
Make an impact.
and people, and I couldn't believe the people that would talk to me. A lot of gay people would come up to me and said, thank you for not making that a cartoon character or stereotypical negativity. And you were so believable and all this. And I mean, that was like the best compliment you can get, So whether people that didn't know me, that's the only movie they've ever seen, and they think I'm gay, I don't care. I think it was a fun role, and I think that everybody was really good in it.
Yeah.
And it said a lot, especially at that time.
Now, Cylk, during that movie, the guys are sitting around, they're watching Kevin play football on the TV. Are they watching you? Are they watching you, Cylk? Are you in those football pads, or is that somebody else?
Yeah. No, I at first they said, you don't have to do the football stuff. I was like, are you kidding me? You better get me
All-State, yeah.
fitted for the pads right now. Yeah, I wanted to. So I'd get on the field, and of course they had were in football uniform that were not. You could tell the way they were walking around the field. They were not football players, but they were there. And I said, I gotta let me run and score a touchdown or something, And,
yeah, boy.
And unfortunately they chose. And then they had a guy that ran that was my size, and he was my stunt double. And it showed him getting tackled. I was like, I would have never gotten tackled like that. When I see the movie, I was like, why did he slow down? Anyway, but that was the only part I was like, oh man, it should have showed me at least scoring or something. But the director wasn't really a football fan, or never really played, but so we kind of
good to know that you at least fought for the opportunities.
But we felt it was good.
My question.
I did, man. It's like in Eraser, I wanted to do my own stunt. I got to do it. I got to do my own stunt in Eraser, and they used it.
That's awesome.
Anyway, back to your question.
Oh, sure. So my question, I guess, was about Matthew Perry. I know you said he was going through some stuff at that time, so maybe you didn't get to see really him because he was battling those demons. But my question with him is that he always seemed to me as somebody who could be directed to be funny, but I wasn't sure if he was actually funny. Some people aren't funny; they're just directed to be funny, and then other people are funny off the camera. And I wasn't sure if he was actually funny. He's
funny. He could, how funny Michael J. Fox is without even saying a word. It's that in between, that silence funny. Matthew has that. His timing is impeccable. He's so likable. You almost forget you're in an acting scene because he makes it so comfortable. And I understand all those. I didn't meet everybody in Friends, but I understand that whole cast was like that. So that's probably why they were successful as they were. And by the way, while we were filming in Toronto, 3 to Tango, Matthew gets a call, and it was when they were renegotiating his deal, and he said something. He was so funny. He goes, Cylk, and he does this, and he goes, I said, what happened? I thought he got bad news. And he goes, I just got fuck you money. I said, what did you say? I had never heard that term, And I said, he goes, I just got fuck you money. I said, did you say what I thought you said? He goes, yeah. And I said, why do you call it that? He goes,
for him to say that,
because it's enough money for him to say it was like, I thought you already had that kind of money. He said, and I said, what does it mean? I said, I really didn't know what it meant. He goes, well, it's a stupid term, but it means, you have enough money. If somebody messes with you, just go, fuck you. I said, oh, okay. I don't have it like that, so, but no, he was, and, Nev Campbell, and both of them are Canadian. So we were in Toronto, so they got a good deal. As far as the producer got a good deal shooting in Canada, there because they were Canadian. They got a good breaks even then in '99. But Nev Campbell, her mother was she taught yoga, so that's why they put that in the scene, a scene of her doing yoga because she was born. I mean, probably born doing yoga drills. You know,
the nod to her mom.
Yeah.
All right, now Cylk, you're a busy guy, man. You're an entrepreneur. You got this the Cure for Hunger charity, and acting, teaching classes, singing, music. Bro, when do you relax? What do you do to relax? Like, what's your downtime like?
I have a great dog right here. He's
nice.
Down below me. What
breed?
I love animals, so he's a mix, just like me.
Nice.
He's what we call a golden ridge. He's a ridgeback golden retriever.
Oh wow, that's got to be gorgeous. That's really cool.
Somebody threw him away as a 2.5-week-old puppy. His eyes were shut, his ears were shut. Somebody threw him in a drainage pipe, and he had black electrical tape taped all over him, around his face, around his legs, around his little stomach. Somebody threw this beautiful little puppy in a drainage pipe, and my other dog went off the road and went in the drainage pipe and came out with, I thought it was a rat. What do you got? And it laid it down and looked up and said, "What do you think of that?" And so I was like, "Oh my God!" So my mother brought it. She brought it in, and we took the tape off of it, and that was 8 years ago. And he's been,
oh my God, that's so amazing.
Wow. Been my baby ever since. So I got to have dogs. That's how I relax, is around animals like dogs, because dogs don't care what kind of house you have, how big your car is, how much money you made, if your movie did well or didn't do well. They just want to go, let's go on a walk. And
dogs always love you.
So they relax me. And otherwise I'm working the rest of the time and sleeping a little bit.
Just a little bit.
Now, Cylk, we've dropped it a couple times.
Oh, sorry.
No, please. We've dropped it a couple times, but please talk to us some more about the Cure for Hunger. The floor is yours. Cure for Hunger,
which we also made cures for humanity, because there were certain people that contacted us and said, "You can't say you're curing hunger." Okay.
Why?
Okay. Yeah, I know. Well, we didn't argue, and
you're going to offend somebody somewhere.
Yeah. So imagine a circle machine about 6 feet in diameter, okay, in circumference. And inside this circular machine, there's 100 plants. Let's say little bitty tomato plants, or little, maybe a 2-inch long, anything. And this wheel circles 24 hours a day. It rotates. So every hour, it rotates. Every hour. And so these plants are going to be sideways sometimes. They're going to be upside down sometimes. They're going to be right side up sometimes through the night. And the water comes from up top, from condensation. The Earth gets a lot of the water, almost 20% of the water from, condensation. That's why you see dew on grass and stuff. So anyway, we've developed a system where you grow plants indoors, and it grows not only 3 times faster, and you can grow 1,000 heads of lettuce in 3 months. Wow. And then it redoes. Plant it again another 3 months. So you don't have to wait a year. So you can actually, that's one thing. And that's just lettuce. So imagine everything. So we've developed that. Some great minds. I didn't obviously invent that, but I'm putting it out in the world. I'm the co-founder and CEO. Eric Williams is the chairman, and he is a brilliant guy that brought me to this awareness of how many children were dying every year and every hour of hunger and of thirst. And I couldn't think of anything else. There was nothing else more important to me. So every movie I did from that moment on, which was 10 years ago, every movie I did from that point on was to help build this company to where we can get a prototype and other things to show people that we can grow food indoors easier, and we can control the environment So, you don't have to worry about pesticides and insects and things getting on your food. And you plant on 1 acre. Think about that. Now, how many of those circular units growing corn in each one can you put on an acre?
Yeah.
So you know what I'm saying? So you can feed a whole community with basically 1 unit or 2. So it's phenomenal. And now it's gotten better than that.
That's powerful.
So, and Martin Luther King III, which is Martin Luther King Jr.'s son, his oldest child, is my business partner. And we travel a lot. We speak a lot at different places. This is one of the first things and one of the only first things that he has endorsed. You're Martin Luther King's son. You don't see him endorsing anything, right? You haven't seen him on the news doing all that. So, but he came with me on this, and we're putting things together right now to advertise. He and I both are on the cover of the magazine, the first magazine that's going to be October 1st of Cures for Hunger. So it's going to be out around the country. And so now we're talking to different countries, but I want to get it in America right now because look at Detroit. Look at the water situation there.
and Flint,
so So we have generators that gather this condensation and puts out fresh water. So can you imagine how many places that we're trying to set up to go right now?
That is huge.
So Cures for Humanity.
Yeah.
I can't even sleep sometimes thinking about no child should be hungry. No child should go without food or water. And we Americans, we waste so much food and it just hurts me. And I just think that most of us are not aware, I think. And I think everybody wants to help. Everybody wants to do something. What can we do? And I said, well, what do you do anyway? What do you do on a daily basis? Incorporate that into this.
Yep.
It's kind of like the kids that, going back to school. It's like, and the parents are trying to figure this out and that out. Well, first of all, you're a child from the age of 5 to 11. Your personality is basically formed. But those are the years that numbers. You gotta teach them math. You gotta teach them science and things that the brain is developing. So if they're not in school during those times that they're learning these things, it's going to be so hard for them later in life. That's why adults that didn't learn to read young, they can't read as an adult. You're like, you can't say that? No, because the brain didn't equate that. So it's very important that they go to school now, but it's more important that they're safe. So I thought I'm going to meet with the mayor and talk to him about all these empty malls across the country. Let's put a 6-month program together and make them more like a gigantic high school where you could separate, put history over on that wing, science over there, math over here. You can actually use the big, the hallways in a mall is huge. You can put 100 people there. You never see each other. So those are just sitting around. Yeah, they're just sitting around, and it's already equipped for a lot of people. A mall is already equipped to handle a lot of people. So with all these empty malls, I wish they would put a program together. I don't care. Use my idea. Somebody do this. Gut them. They're already gutted. They've emptied them. And just configure them accordance to the amount of people in the school. And that way they get separation. That's a big deal. You don't want everybody on top of each other. So anyway, at least for 6 months or so while we're going through this, and then it gives you a chance to figure other things out. That's just the Cylk Cozart's idea of thinking how to help things right now. I always try to figure out how I can help in some way. I got it from my mom. She's always helping people and things, situations. So you guys are just, it's so cool for having this kind of program that allows people just to talk about life, not just in sports. Is such a big part of life,
Yeah, for sure. And I think that, I don't know.
So I appreciate that.
We really appreciate you coming on. I mean, I'll be honest with you, this 2.5 hours has flown by, and I think that the saddest part of this interview is it being over, because I can keep listening to you talk.
Oh, absolutely. I think, just being able to talk about anything and everything has been such a gift. You live such an amazing life, and you've gone through so much, and you've done so much, that being able to just take these nuggets from it has been amazing.
extremely blessed.
Well, thank you guys. You guys are a blessing yourselves, and thank you again. And hopefully I'll come back on after the movie comes out, or maybe after Cylk whiskey or Country Roads beer is circulating. It's going to be in West Virginia, first of all. The beer.
Oh, absolutely.
Country
And when that comes,
West Virginia.
Yeah, for sure. And we're gonna promote Ball of Confusion as hard as we can.
As hard as we can, and we appreciate you. We definitely want to have you back. You've been amazing. I mean, you really have. It's not just the sports side of it. Your thought process on life and just positivity is infectious, and that's something we want to promote. So we're all about it, man.
I didn't feel
you guys are top.
Well, thank you. I actually did feel about halfway through, and you were talking about life and talking about just different situations and things that people go through. I'm looking at my list. I'm like, I don't want to ask any more movie questions.
I know, right? Just talk about life. Yeah. So we definitely want to plan to have you back on and just continue to shoot the shit, man. Honestly, you're such a great listener.
Oh yeah, this has been amazing,
you guys. I'll send you a link to the film so you can kind of get a little sneak peek.
Yeah, we'll blast it all over the page, man. Anything we can do, man, for sure.
Oh, in October when you get that cover, you make sure to send that to us. We're going to put that cover everywhere.
Thank you, guys. You all are awesome, man. Thank you again. You really
Thank you so much. So
appreciate
Thank
it.
you. Let's go SEC football.
Yeah, take care.
Yes.
Thank you.
See, baby.
All right. Well, that is the show, guys. 2 hours and 35 minutes. Thank you for sticking around for the whole thing. I know that not a single second of it was wasted or
not at all
anything. I mean, that was just phenomenal. We thought we got lucky last week. I mean, that Cylk's interview was just phenomenal.
I've got so many more questions I want to ask.
I know.
I held it back because we're almost going 3 hours, but I got more too.
Exactly. My girlfriend's going to kill me, but
you know what it reminded me of is actually you ever sit with an old relative, like a grandparent or like an uncle, and you start talking to them, and the next thing you know, it's like, man, 7 hours has gone by. And I'm just talking. That's what it felt like.
I got to know more about, because we didn't even touch about his poor German Shepherd that he said was messed with by the KKK. I want to touch on that and just his younger life in general and how it influenced him and throughout his whole life. Because, I mean, the guy's so positive and he's just so amazing. He's just so infectious. Like I said, it's impossible not to kind of catch his vibe when you're just talking to him. It was incredible.
And we know the boy loves sports, so we can bring him on after, some more of these NBA playoffs.
NBA playoff games for sure.
Get some more of his takes on that. And I mean, Wayne may not have wanted to continue to talk movies, but I've got some movie questions for him. Sneak peek. I want to know if Cylk would have ever found himself in an Avengers movie if they came out in his time.
Ooh.
Oh, he still could. I mean, they're still making him. He could beat somebody.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, he'd make a better roadie than, what's his face.
What are you doing, Jesse? They don't have athletes, so he can't be in the movie. All right. Well, hey, thanks, guys. I'll throw it to Kenny here. I feel like it's so surreal, like ending, but hey, Kenny, what do you say?
It's over, ladies and gentlemen.